My wife is a beautiful CEO. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76 Iron Fist Feng Dao attacks. Others at the table were also quite interested in this inside information. Everyone looked at Yao Zhenfeng. Seeing that everyone was looking at him expectantly, the bad old man took a sip of tea slowly. Suddenly, King Yao shook Yao Zhenfeng's arm and said, "Grandpa Yao, hurry up and tell me." Yao Zhenfeng then put down the teacup and said with a smile, "Actually, this is early news. I don't know if Zhou Wanqiu has recruited any new masters later. Anyway, the 4 skills of knife, sword, fist, and foot must still be under his command. The knife is Li Xiang, the flying knife. He is good at Li Xiang's flying knife, and many dark force masters have been killed by him with one knife. The sword is Zhang Guanshan, who is good at Guanshan swordsmanship, which is very powerful. However, not many people have seen him take action. The fist is Feng Dao, the Iron Fist. His pair of iron fists once made Wang Zhengyang, the owner of Bincheng Zhengyang boxing gym, bow his head in worship. The foot is Huang Rong Xiang, the shadowless kick. He is from Changcheng and is said to have a family tradition. He is very powerful. Yao Zhenfeng's explanation made everyone suddenly realize. King Yao widened her eyes and said in shock, "So there are so many masters. No wonder Zhou Wanqiu can become the richest man in Bincheng." Yao Zhenfeng smiled and said, "In fact, this is just the surface strength. Behind Zhou Wanqiu, there is a younger brother Zhou Changshan, who is also a celebrity in the martial arts world of the provincial capital. In addition, no one knows whether he has recruited other masters privately." Su Chen nodded. At this time, King Yao asked curiously, "Grandpa Yao, do your big families in the provincial capital also recruit masters?" As soon as she said this, King Yao covered her mouth. She found that her question was a bit over the line. Yao Zhenfeng didn't take it seriously, but pointed to Li Yiting next to him and smiled. "This Mr. Li is the master of my Li family." King Yao and Qin Wentian hurriedly looked at Li Yiting. Li Yiting waved his hands and said modestly, "Master Yao, you are too kind. My martial arts skills are only average." Yao Zhenfeng looked at Su Chen and said seriously, "Among these 4 people, I want to introduce one person to you. You must be careful in the future." "Who?" Su Chen asked. Yao Zhenfeng said, "Iron Fist Feng Dao." Everyone looked at Yao Zhenfeng in confusion. Yao Zhenfeng explained, "Iron Fist Feng Dao's master is the invincible Yang Wudi. Even in the whole province, he is one of the most terrifying figures. Invincible. Yang Wudi." When they heard this name, they felt a domineering and fierce martial arts will. In the martial arts world, if you dare to call this name, I'm afraid it's really extraordinary. Yao Zhenfeng glanced at Li Yiting on the side and said, "I'm not from the martial arts world. Please let Mr. Li introduce Feng Dao's master Yang Wudi to everyone." Li Yiting smiled and said, "This Yang Wudi is a legendary figure in the martial arts world. Since he was young, he has challenged everywhere in order to temper his martial arts will. In the Mingjin stage, he has never been defeated. In the Enjin stage, he continued to challenge and still won all the victories. After being promoted to a higher level, he swept across the 4 directions and still won every battle, gradually becoming invincible. Ordinary warriors will be oppressed by his momentum before they make a move when fighting with him. The name of the invincible divine fist suppresses the entire province. Ordinary masters are even proud of not being defeated by his punch." Hiss. Everyone took a breath of cold air. Such a person is indeed terrifying. No wonder Yao Zhenfeng asked Su Chen to pay attention. However, Su Chen's eyes burst into brilliance. He really wanted to try fighting with Yang Wudi. In the past, his opponents were either like his grandfather, who could not be defeated, no matter how hard he tried, or who were vulnerable. He rarely encountered truly equal opponents. He felt that Yang Wudi was a good opponent. After Li Yiting finished speaking, he wanted to give Su Chen a few more words. As a result, when he turned around, he saw Su Chen eager to try, and all the words were blocked in his mouth. "Okay. This may be the difference between geniuses and us mortals. Li Yiting smiled bitterly in his heart. Yao Zhenfeng earnestly advised, Yang Wudi is indeed very scary. Iron Fist Feng Dao, as his apprentice, must not be simple either. If you face Iron Fist Feng Dao in the future, you must be more careful. Su Chen nodded and thanked Yao Zhenfeng. After everyone had eaten and drunk their fill, they finally parted. Yao Zhenfeng held Su Chen's arm and specifically instructed him, if you encounter trouble in the future, don't ask others, just go to Grandpa Yao first. If you are bored, call Grandpa Yao. When you are free, you must go to the provincial capital to find Grandpa Yao, remember? Hearing Yao Zhenfeng calling him Grandpa Yao, Su Chen rolled his eyes and agreed. Yao Zhenfeng then let go of Su Chen's hand. He sent Su Chen and others to the elevator door again. After the three of them walked out of the elevator, on the way to the underground garage together, Qin Wentian was still excited. Just now, he and Yao Zhenfeng left each other contact information, which made Qin Wentian very excited. Dad, is it that serious? It's just a phone number. Why are you so excited? It's really embarrassing for me. Qin Yao said with some contempt. Qin Wentian smiled and said, my daughter, you don't understand. This is Yao Zhenfeng, the old patriarch of the Yao family in the provincial capital. Standing at the top of the food chain in the province, who wouldn't be excited to see such a person? Qin Yao pointed at Su Chen beside her. Look at Su Chen. Grandpa Yao called him to go to the provincial capital, but he didn't want to go. Qin Wentian's face rose. Looking at his daughter's slightly contemptuous eyes, Qin Wentian suddenly felt very hurt. Sure enough, his little cotton padded jacket is no longer caring. Su Chen smiled and said nothing. The three continued to walk forward side by side. Qin Wentian tried to find a topic to talk about. Su Chen, I think you need to be careful. According to Zhou Changling's personality, I'm afraid he won't let you go easily. Su Chen said calmly, it's okay. Let him use whatever tricks he has. Qin Wentian frowned and said, I know that you are very good at martial arts, but the masters under Zhou Changling are really powerful. In the past, several families also had masters, but they couldn't resist him. Don't worry. Dad, Su Chen is very good at fighting. Qin Yao looked confident. Since the last time in the clothing store, Su Chen waved his scarface and knocked down more than 30 people in front of Qin Yao. Qin Yao has already determined Su Chen's identity as a god of war. Su Chen smiled and said nothing. Qin Wentian had to shut up. At this time, Su Chen suddenly stopped and raised his hand to stop Qin Wentian and Qin Yao. What's wrong? Qin Yao asked hurriedly. Su Chen looked at the corner and said coldly, get out. Boy, you really have something. A sturdy figure stepped forward and appeared in front of the three people. The man was tall and strong, like an iron tower, with muscles all over his body, which was very scary. The most obvious thing was his two huge palms. When he clenched his fists, they were like two bowling balls. Qin Yao looked nervous and moved closer to Su Chen. At this time, Qin Wentian hurriedly said, who are you? I'm Qin Wentian from Cheyenne Hao Group. What do you want to do by blocking our way? The sturdy man sneered. My name is Feng Dao, Iron Fist Feng Dao. Come to kill people. As he spoke, Feng Dao pointed his hand at Su Chen. Qin Yao and Qin Wentian were stunned on the spot. Chapter 77 I can't stand being hit. Feng Dao's figure was like an iron tower, standing in front of the three people. Qin Wentian's face was grim. Just now at the dinner table, everyone was still talking about Feng Dao, but when they went down to the underground garage, they met him in person. Moreover, the other party came to kill Su Chen. Su Chen was a little curious and looked Feng Dao up and down. Feng Dao also looked at the three people coldly, as if looking at his prey. Qin Wentian came back to his senses, squeezed out a smile and said, Mr. Feng, I have also met Mr. Zhou Changling a few times. Can you give me a favor, and let's make a big deal out of a small matter? If compensation is needed, I can make some compensation for Su Chen. Qin Wentian said sincerely. Su Chen looked at Qin Wentian. Although he didn't need to do so, he was still a little moved by Qin Wentian's willingness to do such a thing. However, Feng Dao smiled coldly. Qin Wentian, who do you think you are? How dare you try to get close to Mr. Zhou? Be sensible and take your daughter to the side, otherwise I will kill you too. Qin Wentian's face rose. This Feng Dao was so arrogant that he didn't give him any face. Su Chen smiled. Uncle Qin, take Miss Qin to stand aside, so as not to be splashed by this man's dirty blood. Feng Dao laughed angrily. How shameless. Qin Wentian looked at Su Chen, and Su Chen nodded at him. Be careful. Qin Wentian had no choice but to pull Qin Yao to the side and try to stand far away. Qin Yao said with some dissatisfaction, Dad, don't pull me, how can I see if I stand so far away? Looking at his daughter's excited face, Qin Wentian said speechlessly, it's time. You still want to watch the excitement? Don't you think about how to save Su Chen after he loses? Qin Yao, however, didn't care. Don't worry, this big fool is definitely not Su Chen's opponent. He fights very fiercely. Qin Wentian was helpless. In his opinion, his daughter was too deeply poisoned by Su Chen. Iron Fist Feng Dao walked towards Su Chen with a sneer. Tell me, how do you want to die? Su Chen ignored him and asked calmly, if we kill someone here, will there be surveillance cameras to record it? Iron Fist Feng Dao sneered. Why, are you trying to threaten me with surveillance cameras now? Give up. Just now, I have destroyed all the surveillance cameras nearby. So, you will become a corpse, but there will be no video footage left. Su Chen nodded. Then I'll be relieved. As soon as the words fell, Su Chen's figure flashed. The next moment, he was in front of Iron Fist Feng Dao. Before the smile on Feng Dao's face faded, Su Chen had already cut in beside him. In an instant, Feng Dao's hair stood up all over his body. Invincible Divine Fist. Feng Dao shouted angrily, and his fist, like an iron ball, hit Su Chen in the face. The strong dark energy brought a fierce gust of wind. Boom. The sound of a sonic boom exploded. This punch broke the speed of sound. However, Su Chen had no expression on his face, and he punched Feng Dao's fist. A terrifying airflow surrounded Su Chen's fist, and it suddenly collided with Feng Dao's iron fist. Bang! The two fists collided. The terrifying power disappeared in an instant. Qin Wentian and Qin Yao looked over. The movements of Su Chen and Feng Dao seemed to be paused. Su Chen's white fist formed a sharp contrast with Feng Dao's black iron fist. The next moment, bang! Feng Dao's fist exploded directly. Next, bang, bang, bang. Feng Dao's arm was like a bomb was pressed into it. From the fist, to the wrist, to the forearm, upper arm, and shoulder, all exploded. Ah! Feng Dao screamed, and his entire right arm was blown into a bloody mess. Feng Dao was shocked, and there was no longer the arrogance at the beginning. Su Chen had no expression on his face, and punched again. Feng Dao was about to beg for mercy, but Su Chen's fist hit him in the chest. Bang! A dark sound exploded in Feng Dao's body. His heart was blown up. A trace of blood flowed down the corner of Feng Dao's mouth. My master will avenge me, Feng Dao said. His head tilted, and he fell to the ground and died. Su Chen shook his hands and frowned slightly, saying, isn't he invincible with his divine fist? Why is he so weak? On the side, Qin Wentian was completely dumbfounded. Just now, he was still thinking hard about how to save Su Chen from Feng Dao. As a result, Feng Dao was beaten to death with one punch in a blink of an eye. Fuck. It's over. I should have persuaded Su Chen to spare Feng Dao's life. Qin Wentian couldn't help but swear in his heart. Su Chen killed Feng Dao, which was a provocation to Zhou Changling. The two of them would definitely fight to the death. In addition, Feng Dao was the apprentice of Yang Wudi, the invincible divine fist. Su Chen was in big trouble. Qin Wentian secretly groaned in his heart. But Qin Yao beside him didn't care about that. She was extremely excited when she saw Su Chen beat Feng Dao to death with one punch. Yeah. Qin Yao rushed forward and jumped directly towards Su Chen. Su Chen quickly caught her. Qin Yao wrapped her arms around Su Chen's neck, clamped her legs around his waist, and shouted wildly, ah! Su Chen, you are so great. I love you so much. Qin Yao yelled and hugged Su Chen's head tightly. Su Chen's face was directly suffocated in it. For a moment, Su Chen's mind went blank. He didn't know whether he was suffocated by lack of oxygen or his brain was shut down. Cough, cough, cough. Qin Wentian's coughing reminder sounded wildly, but Qin Yao didn't care about that and stopped for a long time. Su Chen was a little embarrassed and took Qin Yao off himself. Qin Yao looked at Qin Wentian with some resentment. Qin Wentian was very upset. This little cotton padded jacket was really gone. Su Chen, you shouldn't have killed Feng Dao. Feng Dao is Zhao Changling's subordinate, and this is a well-known fact. If you kill him, Zhao Changling will probably fight you to the death. Qin Wentian frowned. Su Chen scratched his head. Uncle Qin, I heard you guys keep talking about Iron Fist Feng Dao, so I thought he was so powerful, so when I hit him a little too hard. Qin Wentian, is this a human language? So, do you still blame Feng Dao for not being able to resist? Qin Yao covered her mouth and giggled. Su Chen looked so handsome when he was pretending to be serious. Qin Wentian tried to manage his expression. Feng Dao is a small matter. Old Master Yao also said that Feng Dao's master is invincible with his divine fist, and he will probably come to seek revenge on you. Su Chen's eyes lit up. I just want to try it out to see if his fist is really that powerful. Well, it was all in vain. Qin Wentian felt very tired inside. Su Chen looked at Feng Dao's body and scratched his head. Uncle Qin, I just asked Feng Dao. He said he had removed all the surveillance cameras. What should we do with his body? Qin Wentian sighed and said, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. As for you, let Yao take you home first. Su Chen smiled and said, thank you, Uncle Qin. Qin Yao also smiled and said, thank you, Dad. After that, she stepped forward, took Su Chen's arm and left. Qin Wentian looked at the two people who seemed fine, not knowing what to say. Looking at the body on the ground, Qin Wentian decided to call Yao Zhenfeng. In the suite of Dahao Chunjing Hotel, Yao Zhenfeng was chatting with the hotel owner Liu Jinghao. Mr. Liu, if Su Chen encounters trouble in Bincheng in the future, I hope you can help him as much as possible for my sake. Yao Zhenfeng said. Liu Jinghao smiled and said, Master Yao, what are you talking about? Please rest assured that within the scope of my ability, the troubles that Su Chen encounters are my troubles. It's just, at this point, Liu Jinghao hesitated. I'm afraid I can't deal with someone like Zhao Changling, the richest man in Bincheng. Yao Zhenfeng said, you don't have to do anything for such a person. As long as you hear any news, inform me and Su Chen in time, and I will accept your favor. Liu Jinghao was overjoyed instantly. Dahao Chunjing Hotel is among the best in Bincheng, and his ability to obtain information is still good. It's worth it to exchange these news for Yao Zhenfeng's favor. If he wants to develop in the provincial capital in the future, with the Yao family's favor, he won't be in the dark. At this moment, ding dong. Liu Jinghao's mobile phone suddenly received several messages. He looked down, and his face changed instantly. Master Yao, something happened. Chapter 78 I think I beat him to death. What's wrong? Yao Zhenfeng looked at Liu Jinghao. Liu Jinghao's face was pale. He took a deep breath and said, Mr. Yao, something big has happened. Half an hour ago, Iron Fist Feng Dao entered the underground garage of our hotel and destroyed the surveillance around Miss Qin's car. I'm afraid his target is Mr. Su Chen. Yao Zhenfeng's face changed drastically, and he stood up suddenly. Li Yiting, let's go to the underground garage. Then, several people were about to rush out of the door. Ding-ling-ling. At this moment, Yao Zhenfeng's cell phone also rang. He looked down and saw that it was from Qin Wentian. Yao Zhenfeng quickly answered the call. Qin Wentian's voice was low. Mr. Yao, please ask Boss Liu to bring a few trusted men to the underground garage. I need his help here to collect a body. Yao Zhenfeng's feet swayed, and his face looked ugly. Qin Wentian added again, the body of Iron Fist Feng Dao. Yao Zhenfeng was stunned and then asked, whose body? Iron Fist Feng Dao's. Qin Wentian repeated again. Yao Zhenfeng's heart skipped a beat and he took a few breaths. At this moment, he wanted to drag Qin Wentian over and beat him up. Damn it. Why are you taking so much breaths? Do you know that I, an old man, can't stand such a big stimulation? Okay. Wait for me. We'll be here soon. Yao Zhenfeng's mood instantly eased. Soon. Yao Zhenfeng and the other two, along with Liu Jinghao and his trusted men, arrived at the underground garage. Several people looked at the Iron Fist Feng Dao lying on the ground, somewhat unbelievable. Did Su Chen kill him? Yao Zhenfeng asked. Qin Wentian nodded. To be precise, he was killed by 2 punches. I don't know, with these 2 punches, Su Chen burst out beyond his level, or he kept a trick up his sleeve. Yao Zhenfeng was shocked. At the age of just over 20, his medical skills were amazing, and his martial arts skills were so terrifying. He had never met such a young man before. On the side, Li Yiting stepped forward to check. This Feng Dao has already mastered the hidden power, but Su Chen only used 2 punches. The first punch seemed to be to test the power of Feng Dao's Iron Fist, and the second punch directly shattered his heart. I judge that, if Su Chen wants, he should be able to kill Feng Dao with 1 punch. Li Yiting inferred. Hiss. Liu Jinghao took a breath of cold air. As a hotel owner, he is well informed, and naturally knows a lot of inside information. Liu Jinghao is very clear about the terrifying record of Feng Dao with the Iron Fist. However, a young man like Su Chen can actually kill Feng Dao with 1 punch. What kind of terrifying combat power is this? No wonder old man Yao Zhenfeng thinks so highly of him. Yao Zhenfeng looked at Li Yiting and asked, then Su Chen, has he reached that realm? Li Yiting nodded suddenly, at most, only half a step away. It is more likely that he has already crossed it. Yao Zhenfeng's pupils shrank, and his evaluation of Su Chen in his heart increased again. On the side, Qin Wentian asked, old man, what should we do with this body? Yao Zhenfeng smiled and said, send it to where it came from. Qin Wentian was stunned. Then, before he could finish his words, Yao Zhenfeng said, do you think that Zhao Changling will not find it if we destroy the body? Qin Wentian was speechless. The other party sent Feng Dao to kill Su Chen. If Feng Dao did not go back, and Su Chen was still alive and kicking, what would have happened to him? At that time, Su Chen would still face the same revenge. It's just that at that time, people from Dahao Chunjing Hotel might also be implicated. Liu Jinghao looked at Yao Zhenfeng gratefully. Yao Zhenfeng said lightly, don't worry. Since Su Chen dared to kill Feng Dao, it means that he is not afraid of Zhao Changling and Zhao Shiji at all. Qin Wentian nodded and looked at Liu Jinghao on the side. Liu Jinghao said, I'll arrange for someone to send him to Zhao Changling. Send him to his son Zhao Shiji. This person was arranged by Zhao Shiji, so send him back. Yao Zhenfeng said with a sly smile. Liu Jinghao nodded. Qin Wentian was a little annoyed. He felt that Bincheng might be in chaos again. In the city center, in Zhao Shiji's villa, there was laughter. He Zhenchen raised his glass and toasted Zhao Shiji respectfully. Mr. Zhao, thank you for avenging me. Zhao Shiji smiled coldly. Su Chen is just a country boy. Only people like you would take him seriously. He Zhenchen flashed a trace of embarrassment and then flattered. Mr. Zhao, you can't say that. In our entire Bincheng, except for big shots like you, who else has such strength? This flattery made Zhao Shiji feel very comfortable. Ha ha ha, that's true. Zhao Shiji laughed. At this moment, a subordinate came to report. Master, someone sent a box. Zhao Shiji asked in confusion. What box? Bring it up. The next moment, 4 strong men struggled to lift a large wooden box and put it in the center of the hall. Zhao Shiji suddenly laughed and said, could it be that Feng Dao deliberately tricked us and brought back Su Chen's body? He Zhenshen's face was overjoyed. If so, this is a great gift. Later, I will personally thank Mr. Feng. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Open it, let me see how miserable this Su Chen died. Zhao Shiji laughed. Squeak, the box opened. Feng Dao's body appeared in front of the two. Ha ha ha. Zhao Shiji and He Zhenshen's laughter stopped abruptly, as if someone was choking them. The smiles on their faces also froze instantly. Feng Dao. Impossible, impossible. Zhao Shiji widened his eyes in disbelief. He Zhenshen's body also trembled. Ah. Su Chen, you bastard. Zhao Shiji suddenly became furious and overturned all the wine and food on the table. He Zhenshen trembled on the side and dared not speak. Now, he was afraid of Su Chen and the furious Zhao Shiji, who would kill him to vent his anger. However, Zhao Shiji had no time to deal with him at this time. Zhou Shiji's eyes were red, and he shouted to the outside. "Prepare a car for me. I want to find my father." Feng Dao was a disciple of the invincible Yang Wudi, but now he died because of the order of the Zhou family. Who can guarantee that Yang Wudi will not vent his anger on the Zhou family? This is what Zhou Shiji fears the most. In comparison, Su Chen is just a small problem. Zhou Shiji left quickly, and he Zenshin breathed a sigh of relief. However, looking at the miserable appearance of Feng Dao, the iron fist in the wooden box, he Zenshin felt heavy. He suddenly doubted whether he could still take revenge. On the other side, King Yao drove, while talking about Su Chen's bravery. Su Chen was praised so much that he felt a little embarrassed. The two arrived at the Zhao family villa. However, when they were still 200 or 300 meters away from the villa, Su Chen found a reason to ask King Yao to stop the car. He was really afraid that Zhou Wanqiu would catch him in bed again. After King Yao left, Su Chen checked his whole body again to make sure that there was no evidence left before he walked home. After returning to the villa, the first person to greet him was not Zhou Wanqiu, but Zhao Girang. "Zhou Chen, you are back. I heard from Wanqiu that you went to accompany a client. This girl is really something. Can't you leave this kind of thing to others? You are delayed to go home at this time," Zhao Girang complained. Su Chen smiled and explained, "Aunt Zhao, I asked her to find me some work to exercise." Zhao Girang smiled. "Look at our Zhou Chen, how motivated." Su Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Aunt Zhao's double standard is too powerful. No wonder Zhou Wanqiu complained that she was a goddaughter and Su Chen was a biological son. After Su Chen entered the hall, he heard Zhou Wanqiu, Zhao Pingjiang and Zhou Rongchang discussing the Zhao family. The three of them were a little depressed. Even Zhou Rongchang, after Su Chen greeted him, simply responded and sat down to rejoin the discussion. Zhao Changling has 4 masters of swords, knives, fists and feet under him, all of whom are very advanced in martial arts. Zhao Changling has relied on them to deal with many opponents. Our Zhao family must be more careful, Zhao Pingjiang said in a deep voice. Zhou Wanqiu also frowned slightly. That's right. Especially that Iron Fist Feng Dao. It is said that his master is the invincible God Fist who suppressed the martial arts world in the entire province. He himself once defeated Wang Zhengyang of Zhengyang Boxing Gym with 3 punches, which is very scary. At this time, Su Chen interrupted. That Iron Fist Feng Dao, it seems that I beat him to death. Chapter 79. Wait for your family to be destroyed. The 3 Zhao family members, grandfather and grandson, were all shocked. Then they turned around at the same time and looked at Su Chen. "What did you say?" Zhao Pingjiang said in a daze. Zhou Wanqiu frowned slightly and said dissatisfiedly, "You know nothing, but you dare to brag. Iron Fist Feng Dao is an expert among experts. Do you think he is the kind of person under his Zenshin?" Su Chen did not comment, took out his mobile phone, and found a photo. This was taken by Qin Wentian after he packed Feng Dao and sent it to Su Chen. Su Chen handed it to Zhou Wanqiu. "TSK, you still have to pack." Zhou Wanqiu took the phone with disdain on her face. The next second, she was stunned. "Grandpa, Dad, it's really Feng Dao." Zhou Wanqiu raised her head, her voice trembling a little, and her expression was not sure whether it was happy or sad. This afternoon, she and Zhao Pingjiang investigated the information of Zhao Changling and Zhao Shiji, and happened to find Feng Dao. When she saw the photo on the phone, she recognized him at first sight. Zhao Rongchang and Zhao Pingjiang were stunned and hurried over. The 2 men shuddered when they saw Feng Dao's body. "Zhou Chen, this Feng Dao?" Zhao Rongchang asked. Su Chen said calmly, "He tried to intercept me on the road and I killed him." The 3 Zhao family members were stunned. Zhao Pingjiang murmured, "It seems that Zhao Changling and Zhao Shiji, father and son, really want to kill us all." Zhao Rongchang frowned slightly, "But why did they attack Zhou Chen first?" "I know," Zhou Wanqiu said hurriedly. "This afternoon, when I looked at the Zhao family's information, I found that He Zenshin had transferred some of his shares to Zhao Shiji at a low price. I guess He Zenshin told Zhao Shiji about Su Chen's situation." Zhao Rongchang sighed and said, "Fortunately, Zhou Chen has martial arts, otherwise it would be really dangerous." Zhao Pingjiang said, I guess Zhao Shiji also knows Su Chen's strength, so he wants to get rid of him first, and then deal with us slowly. Zhao Rongchang and Zhou Wanqiu nodded. Zhou Wanqiu glanced at Su Chen. Unconsciously, Su Chen actually became the umbrella of Zhao family. Su Chen, whom she had always looked down upon in the past, actually relied on his fighting ability to protect Zhao family, which made Zhou Wanqiu a little difficult to accept. Then what should we do next? Zhou Wanqiu asked. Zhao Rongchang sighed. I'll call Zhao Shiji first to see if we can negotiate. As he spoke, Zhao Rongchang directly dialed Zhao Shiji's number. Beep. The call was quickly connected. Zhao Shiji, this is Zhao Rongchang. Can we talk? Although Zhao Rongchang was almost 2 generations older than Zhao Shiji, his tone was respectful. However, Zhao Shiji on the opposite side had no intention of chatting with Zhao Rongchang at all. Damn old man, I'm not interested in talking to you. I tell you, your Zhao family is dead, and that Su Chen is also dead. Wait for me. Zhao Shiji's cold voice came. The call was interrupted. Zhao Rongchang was helpless. Zhao Pingjiang and Zhou Wanqiu looked aggrieved. It seems that a battle with the Zhao family is inevitable. From now on, you all have to be careful. The Zhao family has always been not very bright. Zhao Rongchang said in a deep voice. Okay. Zhou Wanqiu and his daughter forced themselves to respond. But their annoyance was obvious. Su Chen sat aside and sighed when he saw this scene. It seems that we still have to find a way to completely solve the Zhao family. On the other side, a Rolls-Royce Phantom was speeding on the road. Zhao Shiji sat in the back seat, holding his mobile phone with a gloomy face. Zhao family, Su Chen, you want to get away with it easily after touching my people. Impossible. Zhao Shiji gritted his teeth. Soon, the Rolls-Royce Phantom arrived at a manor outside the city. This is the manor of Zhao Changling, the richest man in Bincheng. Zhao Shiji walked quickly into the hall. At this time, a tall and thin man was already standing in the hall waiting. He had an eagle nose and falcon eyes, and a sinister face. It was Zhao Changling, the richest man in Bincheng. Dad. Zhao Shiji hurriedly approached and said respectfully. Snap. A slap hit Zhao Shiji's face hard. Zhao Shiji's face swelled quickly, but he didn't dare to say anything. Do you know you are wrong? Zhao Changling said coldly. Zhao Shiji hurriedly said, Dad, I was wrong. I shouldn't have let Feng Dao deal with Su Chen. I should have confirmed Su Chen's strength first. Zhao Changling looked angry. Although Feng Dao works under me, he is different from others. Because his master is the invincible Yang Wudi. Now, Feng Dao died while working for us. Do you think his master will let us go? Zhao Shiji's face was full of regret. Dad, I didn't expect that the bastard would have such strength. Now, what should we do? Zhao Changling said coldly, give the Zhao family an ultimatum and let them cripple Su Chen and send him over, and we will spare them. Otherwise, we will fight to the death. Zhao Shiji asked, Dad, do you really want to let the Zhao family go? I have promised He Zenshin that neither Su Chen nor the Zhao family will be spared. Waste. Zhao Changling scolded. If the Zhao family really cripple Su Chen and send him over, then the Zhao family will become a tiger with its teeth pulled out. What's there to be afraid of? If you kill Su Chen, the Zhao family can be easily controlled. Zhao Shiji suddenly realized what was going on and hurried to make a phone call. Zhao's villa. Everyone in the Zhao family was still planning. Ding-ling-ling. Suddenly, Zhao Shiji called. It's Zhao Shiji. Zhao Rongchang was a little surprised. Could it be that he is willing to accept our apology? Zhao Pingjiang said in surprise. Zhou Wanqiu frowned slightly. She felt that according to Zhao Shiji's usual style, this should not be the case. Answer the phone. Zhao Rongchang said, Mr. Zhao, have you changed your mind? Our Zhao family is very happy to make peace with the Zhao family. We are willing to. Before he finished speaking, Zhao Shiji interrupted him directly. If you want me to not pursue it, it's very simple. Just cripple Su Chen and send him to our Zhao family, and the matter will be written off. Zhao Rongchang was stunned. The excitement on Zhou Wanqiu and Zhao Pingjiang's faces also solidified. The next second, Zhao Rongchang immediately retorted, I'm sorry, our Zhao family will not accept this condition. Zhao Shiji said coldly, Zhao Rongchang, think it over. Are you really willing to offend my Zhao family for a country boy? I have thought it over very clearly. If the Zhou family is willing, the Zhou family is willing to pay 100 million. Zhou Wanqiu tried his last time. Zhou Shiji ignored it at all. You Zhou family can wait for your family to be broken up. The phone was hung up directly. The three grandfathers and grandchildren of the Zhou family looked at each other helplessly. On the other side, Zhou Shiji was angry. Dad, Zhou Wanqiu refused. Zhou Changling sneered. It's normal. Zhou Wanqiu is old and cunning. He knows we will never let him go. Declare war directly. Tomorrow, you contact all partners directly and announce the ban on the Zhou family. All enterprises in Bincheng, as long as they dare to cooperate with the Zhou family, are the enemies of my Zhou family. Zhou Shiji was instantly excited. Dad actually wanted to ban the Zhou family directly. Zhou Changling looked out the window and said calmly, I haven't made any moves for a long time. Even the Zhou family dares to challenge me. It's time for the people in Bincheng's business community to recognize who is the richest man in Bincheng. Chapter 80, Meeting an Acquaintance. On the other side, after Qin Wentian dealt with Feng Dao's body, he said goodbye to Yao Zhenfeng and others. He returned home and sat in the tea room to meditate. Today, Su Chen killed the Iron Fist Feng Dao, which has completely muddied the water in Bincheng. Next, it is estimated that Zhou Changling will attack like a storm. He needs to think carefully about how to protect Su Chen in this process. After all, his daughter Qin Yao seems to be, alas. Qin went inside. At this time, Qin Yao pushed the door open and entered, and a sweet voice sounded. Dad, I want to go to my cousin's house tomorrow. Qin Wentian frowned slightly and seemed to be a little dissatisfied with what Qin Yao said about his cousin's house. Are you going to see your cousin again? Qin Wentian asked. Qin Yao shook his head. This time, I want to ask my grandfather and uncle to send someone to protect Su Chen. Don't you think Su Chen is very good at fighting? Why do you want to ask your grandfather and others to protect Su Chen? Qin Wentian was a little surprised. Qin Yao stuck out her tongue and said with a smile, Su Chen is definitely the best fighter. I'm worried that Zhou Shiji and the others will play dirty tricks. It will definitely be safer if more experts protect Su Chen. Qin Wentian thought about his father-in-law's family and felt a little worried. Your grandfather and uncle are all martial artists and have bad tempers. If they are asked to protect Su Chen, they might start fighting among themselves. It's okay. I've thought about it. Qin Yao smiled confidently. I plan to let Su Chen cure my cousin's illness first. In this way, I guess my grandfather and uncle will be very grateful to Su Chen, and these things won't happen. Qin Wentian's eyes lit up. Okay, you can try. Qin Yao smiled and nodded, jumping out. In the tea room, Qin Wentian shook his head. He didn't want to have much contact with his father-in-law's family. According to Su Chen's temper, he might really conflict with them. But if they can get along peacefully, it will be a great help. The next morning, Su Chen went to work with Zhou Wanqiu. Zhou Wanqiu told the two, Wanqiu, Zhou Chen, you must be careful. I don't know what tricks Zhou Changling and Zhou Shiji will arrange to deal with you. Su Chen said calmly, Grandpa, Aunt Zhou, I'm here, don't worry. Zhou Wanqiu also comforted, it's okay. Although Zhou Changling and Zhou Shiji are lawless, they have never attacked anyone in public. I guess they are more likely to target our Zhou catering. Hearing Zhou Wanqiu say this, Zhou Wanqiu and Zhou Giran felt a little relieved. Su Chen took Zhou Wanqiu's car to the downstairs of Zhou Group and got off the car to say goodbye. Stepping into the company, Su Chen entered the secretariat office. Everyone greeted Su Chen, and Su Chen responded with a smile. Sitting at his workstation, Su Chen kept paying attention to the news and company news group from time to time, but he didn't find any movement from the Zhou family. Su Chen waited for a whole morning and was a little bored. The Zhou family hasn't made a move yet. Is there any other conspiracy? After lunch. Ding ling ling. Su Chen's cell phone suddenly rang. He looked down and saw that it was Qin Yao calling. Hello, Miss Qin, what's up? Su Chen thought Qin Yao had some news about the Zhou family. But Qin Yao said, my benefactor, I'll pick you up now. Let's go to a place that will be good for you. Su Chen was stunned and asked, where? You'll know if you go with me. It will definitely be good for you. Moreover, it will also be good for the Zhou family. Qin Yao said with a smile. Su Chen had no choice but to ask Zhou Wanqiu for leave. In the president's office. Why are you asking for leave again? Zhou Wanqiu frowned as he looked at Su Chen, who came to ask for leave. Boss Zhou, what I'm going to do this time may be good for us to deal with the Zhou family. Su Chen said. Zhou Wanqiu asked, really? Then what are you going to do this time? What's the benefit for us? Su Chen was stunned. Qin Yao told him this. He didn't know the details. Seeing Su Chen's expression, the expectation on Zhou Wanqiu's face suddenly turned into disdain. I almost believed you. Zhou Wanqiu glared at Su Chen and said unhappily, can you please make your excuses more complete next time? Su Chen wanted to explain, but Zhou Wanqiu waved her hand. Hurry up and leave. If you keep talking nonsense, I won't approve your leave. She was too lazy to ask Su Chen anymore and approved his leave directly. Su Chen had no choice but to leave. After Su Chen stepped out of the office, Zhou Wanqiu slowly stood up and stood in front of the window. Soon, she saw Su Chen appear downstairs and got on a pink Mercedes-Benz G. Zhou Wanqiu's face suddenly became ugly. This bastard, he said he would find a way to deal with the Zhou family, but he ended up going to accompany a rich woman. How shameless. Zhou Wanqiu was so angry that his lungs hurt. Su Chen didn't know that he had offended Zhou Wanqiu again. What are we going to do? Su Chen asked. Qin Yao smiled and said, I'll take you to meet the parents and discuss our business. Su Chen was stunned. Meet the parents? Discuss our business? What do we have to do? Seeing Su Chen's expression, Qin Yao chuckled. Su Chen said helplessly, can you be serious? Qin Yao said, what I said is really serious. I just want to take you to meet my grandfather and uncle. Su Chen was even more confused. Sister, now the Zhou family doesn't know how to deal with me and the Zhou family. At this time, you want me to visit relatives with you? Su Chen said helplessly. Qin Yao smiled. Do you think I'm such a messy person? I really want to help you. Look at you. You are alone. When protecting Zhou Wanqiu, there was no one to protect the old man at home. My grandfather, uncle and their family are a family of martial arts. There are many masters in the family. I took you there just to let them send out a few masters to help you protect the Zhou family villa. Su Chen's face lit up with joy. Qin Yao really helped him a lot this time. In fact, he had always been worried about the safety of the Zhou family villa, but he just had no suitable personnel. He had thought about asking Chen Zhangyi to come, but unfortunately, the people under Chen Zhangyi were too weak. Even if Chen Zhangyi and Zhang Biao, the two strongest fighters of Zhangyi Hall, came, they would not be able to defeat a master like Feng Dao. Since the Zhou family's swords, fists, and feet can be ranked together, it means that the level of other people is probably not lower than Feng Dao. Therefore, even if Chen Zhangyi and Zhang Biao come, it is estimated that it will be of no use. Su Chen asked curiously, are there many masters in your grandfather's family? A lot. Qin Yao nodded confidently. My grandfather was originally a martial arts master, and he also taught a bunch of apprentices, all of whom are masters. Back then, Zhou Changling made a big fuss in Bincheng and wanted to attack my dad. In the end, it was my grandfather who came directly to the door and forced him to give up. Su Chen nodded. It seems that Qin Yao's grandfather is really powerful. Qin Yao instructed, my benefactor, there is something I have to tell you in advance. You say? Su Chen said. Qin Yao hesitated. My grandfather, uncle, aunt and others are not very good tempered. If they offend me in any way, please be patient. Su Chen was slightly stunned, but still nodded. Okay. Qin Yao said, but I think, if you can do them a favor, they will probably be very grateful to you. What favor? Su Chen asked. Qin Yao said, my uncle's daughter, that is, my cousin, is seriously ill. If you can help her cure her, I guess my grandparents will definitely be very grateful to you. At this point, Qin Yao was a little embarrassed. I didn't tell you in advance. You won't be angry, right? Su Chen smiled. Of course not. You are also helping me. Qin Yao smiled sweetly. Soon, the two arrived at a suburban villa area. King Yaoyao's grandfather's house occupies a large area. The villa is magnificent, and it is facing an artificial lake. It looks like it is also worth a lot of money. When they arrived at the gate of the villa, King Yaoyao asked Su Chen to get off the car first, and she went to park the car. Su Chen got off the car and looked at the surrounding scenery, while King Yaoyao went to park the car. Looking around, Su Chen felt very good. The surrounding area is not densely populated, there are mountains and water, and the air is not bad. It is a good place to cultivate one's body and mind. Su Chen was looking at the scenery everywhere. Suddenly, a loud noise came. "Get out, you quack doctor. If I see you treating people again in the future, I will smash your shop." Su Chen turned his head. I saw that the door of the villa was opened. A figure was pushed out roughly, rolled on the ground in embarrassment, and then stood up. Su Chen's eyes condensed slightly. It was Sun Zongjing from Huchen Pavilion. Chapter 81. Who do you want to call daddy? At this time, Sun Zongjing was covered in dust and his clothes were in a mess. He struggled to stand up and looked angrily at the door of the villa. Then, another figure stepped out of the door. It was a boy of 15 or 16 years old. The boy looked arrogant and shouted arrogantly, "Get out of here quickly. If you dare to cheat me again, I will break your legs." Sun Zongjing got up in a mess and said sadly, "You Wang family is too much. When did I, Sun Zongjing, promise that I could cure Miss Wang's illness? Doctors have their own limits, and I'm not omniscient and omnipotent. When you asked me to treat you, you treated me with all kinds of courtesy. When I was powerless, you insulted me at will. The Wang family is really not worthy of the name of a big family." Hearing this, the boy was furious. "You bastard, old man, dare to insult my Wang family. Today, your master Wang Bo will teach you what are the rules and what are the etiquette." Wang Bo waved his fist and rushed towards Sun Zongjing. Su Chen frowned slightly. The little boy was a Mingjin warrior. Sun Zongjing would definitely be injured by this punch. Sun Zongjing was horrified. It was too late to run away. He could only close his eyes and hold his head. However, Sun Zongjing waited for a long time and did not feel any pain. He looked up and saw a tall figure blocking him. Su Chen? Sun Zongjing was a little bit unbelievable. At this time, Wang Bo's fist was being held tightly by Su Chen. Wang Bo was furious. "Bastard, let me go." Su Chen's face turned cold. "Mr. Sun is old enough to be your grandfather. You dare to be so disrespectful and call yourself a master. You deserve to be beaten." After that, Su Chen slapped Wang Bo. Snap. A bright red palm print was branded on Wang Bo's face. Wang Bo looked unbelievable. Coming back to his senses, he cursed, "Bastard, you dare to slap my face?" Snap. Su Chen slapped him again. "How dare I hit you a second time?" Su Chen's brows were cold. Wang Bo roared, "You son of a bitch, you're dead. I'm going to hit you to death." Snap. 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 Su Chen started to hit Wang Bo's face left and right, and it was swollen. Wang Bo was completely confused, and for no reason, a sour feeling came over him, and tears flowed down. Sun Zongjing, who was standing aside, also hurried forward to hold Su Chen's hand. "Zhou Chen, don't hit me anymore. It's my incompetence that I failed to cure the eldest lady of the Wang family, not Master Wang's fault." Wang Bo cried and shouted, "Woo woo woo, bastard. Did you hear me? This old gang said it was his fault. You still hit me. I'm going to let my dad beat you and your whole family. Woo woo." Before he finished speaking, Su Chen kicked him out. "Old man," crying. "It's so annoying." Wang Bo quickly got up and ran towards the door. While running, he wiped his tears and snot and cursed, "Asshole, wait here and don't leave. I'm going to slap you in the face and throw you into the lake to feed the turtles." Su Chen looked at him and said coldly, "Say another word and try." Wang Bo didn't dare to turn his head and ran away. Su Chen almost laughed out loud. He was just a little brat. On the side, Sun Zongjing said with a grim expression, "Su Chen, you better leave quickly. This Wang Bo is the young master of the Wang family and is very favored. Later, I'm afraid he will bring people out to deal with you." "It's okay." Su Chen waved his hand and asked, "Old son, why are you here?" Sun Zongjing was a little embarrassed, but still explained, "I was invited by the Wang family to treat Miss Wang. As a result, my level was not enough, and I failed to cure Miss Wang. So, Su Chen's face was slightly cold. So the Wang family drove you out? Sun Zongjing sighed and said, in fact, although the Wang family's attitude is a little cold, I can accept it. It's just that young Master Wang Bo has a close relationship with his sister, so it's a little excessive. Of course, I can understand this. After all, the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. It's the old man's incompetence that disappointed him. After Su Chen knew the reason, his face darkened. The path of medicine is to try one's best and risk one's life. How can anyone dare to say that they will treat a person? When the Wang family asks for help, they are so humble and servile. When they don't need it, they are so rude. They are really not worthy of being treated by a doctor. Su Chen was annoyed. He has good medical skills and often regards himself as a doctor. Naturally, he can't stand people like the Wang family. At this moment, Su Chen had already marked the Wang family with an X in his heart. At this time, a noise came from the villa. Hurry up, don't let that bastard run away. Bastard, today I must slap his face into a pig's head and then throw him into the lake and let him soak in it for a day and a night. Wang Bo's voice was getting closer and closer. The door opened. Wang Bo led 8 people and rushed out. Sun Zongjing's face changed drastically. Su Chen looked at the few people Wang Bo brought out. Each of them was wearing a black training suit, with bright eyes and very energetic. At first glance, they were not ordinary warriors. Among these 8 people, there are actually 4 dark force martial artists. The Wang family is indeed extraordinary. Su Chen thought to himself. Everyone, come on, hold this bastard down. I want to teach him a lesson. Wang Bo gave an order, and everyone rushed forward. Charge. With these people taking the lead, Wang Bo also had the courage to follow behind, and shouted as he rushed towards Su Chen. Sun Zongjing turned around, and tried to pull Su Chen to run. However, he pulled in vain. Turning back, he saw that Su Chen had already rushed into the crowd. The first dark force martial artist punched Su Chen. Su Chen made a lightning move, directly grabbed his arm, and pulled forward with his strength. The next second, plop. This dark force martial artist drew an arc in the air and fell heavily into the artificial lake. Everyone was stunned. Before they could react, Su Chen rushed into the crowd like a tiger descending from a mountain. Whoosh, plop, whoosh, plop, whoosh, plop. In the blink of an eye, all the strong men in training clothes were sent to the lake by Su Chen to wake up. Wang Bo, who was at the end, faced Su Chen with a confused face. The masters he brought with him were not effective at all, and were all thrown into the water. Ah! Wang Bo screamed, and turned and ran. You go in, and wake up too. Su Chen followed in one step, grabbed Wang Bo's shoulders, and threw him behind him. Whoosh! Plop! Wang Bo screamed, and fell into the artificial lake. Sun Zongjing was almost dumbfounded. Su Chen was too fierce, wasn't he? The few people who fell into the lake kept struggling in the water. After struggling for a long time, they swam to the shore and climbed up. Everyone was already like a drowned chicken. And Wang Bo trembled all over, his face pale with fear. He couldn't swim. If someone hadn't carried him back just now, he would have died in the artificial lake. On the shore, Wang Bo was supported by his men to stand firm. He was trembling, staring at Su Chen, and gritting his teeth, saying, "Asshole, you dare to throw me into the water. Do you know who I am? My grandfather is Wang Xingzu, the head of the Wang family. My father is Wang Tao, and my uncle is Qin Wentian of Xianheo Group. How dare you do this to me? You're dead. You're dead." Wang Bo was so angry that he almost jumped up. "Kneel down on the ground right now, otherwise, I'll have someone beat you up and make you call daddy." Wang Bo roared. At this moment, a delicate rebuke came. "Wang Bo, you little bastard, you're rebelling." Then, a pretty figure suddenly appeared and rushed directly in front of Wang Bo. It was Qinyao Iao. Pa. Qinyao Iao slapped Wang Bo on the head. Her face was full of anger, and she twisted Wang Bo's ear and asked, "Little bastard, say it again. Who do you want to kneel down? Who do you want to call daddy?" If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. we cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 80. To this is your brother-in-law. Qin Yao Iao twisted Wang Bo's ear. Wang Bo grimaced in pain and begged for mercy, and Qin Yao Iao let him go. Cousin, why did you hit me? I'm the one being bullied, Wang Bo said aggrievedly. Su Chen then realized that Wang Bo was Qin Yao Iao's cousin. What's wrong with me hitting you? Do you have any objection? Qin Yao Iao glared at Wang Bo. The blood between the siblings suppressed Wang Bo's arrogance. He hurriedly said, no objection, no objection. Qin Yao Iao was merciless and kicked Wang Bo in the butt, scolding, you little bastard, you dare to let Su Chen kneel down to you, and dare to let Su Chen call you dad. Wang Bo quickly dodged and retorted, cousin, this bastard. Su Chen, he just slapped me in the face and threw me into the lake. Qin Yao Iao glanced at Su Chen, who had a blank expression on his face. Qin Yao Iao turned around and continued to scold, it must be your fault. Otherwise why did Su Chen throw you and not others? You deserve it. Wang Bo was stunned. Is this human language? What do you mean why did he throw me and not others? 9 of us were thrown into the water by him and just climbed ashore. Can't you see it? Wang Bo looked at Qin Yao Iao aggrievedly. Qin Yao Iao felt a little guilty and hurriedly said, do you know who he is? He is your cousin's husband. What's wrong with him slapping you in the face? What's wrong with throwing you into the lake? That's for your own good. That's to educate you. You also asked him to kneel down. Can you bear it? You also asked him to call you dad. Then should I also follow him and call you dad, and you go to be a brother to your father? Qin Yao Iao became more and more angry as he spoke. Wang Bo was a little confused and looked at Su Chen in shock. And Su Chen looked at Qin Yao Iao with a confused face. When did he become Wang Bo's cousin's husband? On the side, Sun Zongjing had the same confused expression. He remembered that Su Chen and Zhou Wanqiu were a couple. Qin Yao Iao, did he win over Su Chen so quickly? There was a brief silence. Although Qin Yao Iao was carefree, she still blushed when she said this in public. She suppressed her shame and said, go back first and tell grandpa and uncle that I'm here. Wang Bo looked at Su Chen unwillingly, but still ran into the villa obediently. Qin Yao Iao turned around and smiled apologetically at Su Chen. My benefactor, I'm sorry. My cousin has been spoiled by my aunt since he was a child, and he is a little lawless. Su Chen said, you don't have to apologize to me. I haven't suffered any grievances. He scolded me, I beat him, and threw him into the water to sober him up, so we're even. However, Mr. Sun does need an apology from the Wang family. Then, Su Chen told the story of Sun Zongjing. Qin Yao Iao was embarrassed after listening. She apologized. Mr. Sun, I'm really sorry. My grandfather's family all practiced martial arts and have a quick temper. I apologize to you on their behalf. Sun Zongjing smiled bitterly and waved his hands, saying, it's okay. The old man is so old that he doesn't care about these things. However, Su Chen said, Miskin, although Mr. Sun doesn't care, I can't help but say something. The attitude of your grandfather's family towards doctors really chills me. If they don't apologize to Mr. Sun, I'm sorry I can't help your cousin. Qin Yao Iao was stunned. She didn't expect that this would happen when she brought Su Chen to treat her cousin. Sun Zongjing hurriedly said, Su Chen, you don't have to do this for me. The Wang family is a big family in Bincheng. If you make friends with them, it will be a great support for you. Su Chen said lightly, old son, my grandfather told me that a person's greatest support is himself, not others. In addition, it's not all because of you, old son. More reasons. I'm for the righteousness in my heart, for my own thoughts to be clear. Sun Zongjing was stunned, and there was a trace of respect in his eyes when he looked at Su Chen. How can I bow my head and serve the powerful and make me unhappy? Such pride is worthy of admiration. On the side, Qin Yao Iao was also shocked. She looked at Su Chen, nodded and said, benefactor, I support you. Let's go in together, find my grandfather and others, and ask for an explanation for old Sunday. Su Chen and Sun Zongjing were both stunned. Let's go. Qin Yao Iao led the way directly. Sun Zongjing wanted to refuse, but Su Chen directly pulled his arm. He could only be pulled into the villa with a bitter smile on his face. At this time, there were 4 people in the hall of the Wang family villa. One of them was the wet Wang Bo. In front of him was his mother Li Yulan. Looking at her son's swollen face and soaked body, Li Yulan felt distressed. She was furious and cursed. Who the hell beat my son like this? The weather was still cool, and he threw Xiaobo into the lake. This bastard wanted to kill Xiaobo. Dad, look at your grandson. Wan Tao, look at your son. Our Wang family has been bullied, and we are losing face. Xiaobo, tell mom, who did this? Wang Xingzu and Wang Tao also had gloomy faces. Wang Bo said with a wronged look, yes, it's my brother-in-law. Brother-in-law? Wang Xingzu, Wang Tao and Li Yulan were all stunned. Xiaobo, are you confused? How can you have a brother-in-law? Li Yulan was so angry that she cursed. This damn bastard, he beat my son stupid. Wang Bo quickly explained, Mom, I wasn't beaten stupid. I was talking about my sister Yao Iao's boyfriend. Wang Xingzu frowned immediately. When did Yao Iao have a boyfriend? Why haven't I heard of it? Dad, it's time now. Do you still care whether Yao Iao has a boyfriend? Your grandson has been beaten like this. Do you still care who he is? Li Yulan gritted her teeth. Wang Xingzu asked, why did your cousin's husband beat you? Where is he now? Wang Bo repeated the whole story. Li Yulan was immediately furious. Dad, did you hear it? Yao Iao's boyfriend is really ignorant. He beat our Xiaobo for a quack doctor. He doesn't respect our Wang family at all. Wang Xingzu's face was not very good. Wang Tao on the side also said angrily that Sun Zongjing treated Yuting for a long time, but it was useless. What else is he but a quack? Besides, even if Xiaobo is a little too much, it is not Su Chen's turn to discipline him. That's right. Wang Xingzu nodded with a gloomy face and said, in this way, I won't meet him later and embarrass him. Taoa, you two meet him, and let him know some rules. Hearing this, Li Yulan and Wang Tao smiled. Wang Bo, on the other hand, looked a little flustered. Originally, he didn't want his family to target his cousin-in-law. As a result, his mother Li Yulan felt sorry for him, and after forcing him to ask the result, she was resentful of Su Chen. Now, I'm afraid that cousin Yao Iao will hate me to death, and she will torture me when they meet again in the future. Wang Bo was very melancholy. Soon, Yao Iao brought Su Chen and Sun Zongjing to the lobby of the villa. She took a look. Uncle Wang Tao and Aunt Li Yulan were sitting on the sofa in the lobby. Neither of them got up. As for her cousin Wang Bo, he stood behind them, lowering his head and not daring to look at Yao Iao. Uncle, Aunt, I'm here. Where's my grandpa? Yao Iao greeted them politely. However, Li Yulan sneered coldly. Yao Iao, there is a saying that is really true. A girl should not be kept when she grows up, otherwise she will make enemies. You haven't even married yet, but you're already helping outsiders bully your cousin, right? The atmosphere in the hall suddenly became awkward. Chapter 83 Zhao Shiji's ban. Yao Iao looked at Wang Bo, but Wang Bo didn't dare to look up and look at her. Aunt, let's talk about the facts. Although Dr. Sun didn't cure my cousin's illness, he shouldn't be treated rudely, right? Yao Iao said seriously. Li Yulan pouted. Why? He didn't cure my daughter, so I have to kneel on the ground and kowtow to him 3 times. Yao Iao retorted. Of course I don't have to kowtow, but you can't be so rude. Li Yulan sneered. He's just a mediocre doctor with no ability. Even if I'm rude, he deserves it. Yao Iao looked at Wang Tao on the side. Uncle, do you mean the same thing? A high-level divine doctor must be treated with courtesy, and a mediocre doctor, of course, doesn't deserve respect. Wang Tao said. Haha. Su Chen sneered. It's true that the upper beam is crooked and the lower beam is crooked. As soon as this was said, the Wang family members immediately glared at him. Asshole, what did you say? Do you know who you are talking to? Wang Tao stood up from the sofa suddenly. He was full of hidden strength and had an amazing aura, as if he was ready to attack at any time. However, Su Chen remained calm and continued to say in a cold voice, this is really ridiculous. If you can't cure a patient, you will be treated like this. Will anyone be willing to come to your Wang family for treatment in the future? Li Yulan glared at Su Chen fiercely. With a big reward, there must be a brave man. My Wang family has sent out invitations, and naturally more people will come. That's just a mediocre doctor who is greedy for fame and profit, Su Chen said coldly. After speaking, he turned and looked at Sun Zongjing. Old son, let's go. Medicine can't cure fatal diseases, but Buddha can save people with predestined relationships. Some people may not deserve to die, but if their family wants them to die, there is nothing they can do. After Su Chen finished speaking, he turned and left. He was tired of the Wang family in his heart, and it was really not worth his effort. Sun Zongjing sighed, and left with Su Chen. King Yao looked ugly, and looked at his uncle and aunt hatefully. Just do whatever you want. I finally called a great doctor, but you guys drove him away. Li Yulan and Wang Tao were stunned. Miracle doctor? Where is there a miracle doctor? Li Yulan asked. King Yao stamped her feet in anger. Su Chen. Su Chen is the great miracle doctor. Zhou Wanqiu's father, Zhou Pingjiang, was saved by Dr. Sun's treatment error. When I fainted, Dr. Sun couldn't do anything, and it was he who saved me. This time, I just wanted him to treat my cousin, but you guys drove him away. Wang Tao's face was uncertain. Who knew he was a miracle doctor? Why didn't you tell me earlier? Li Yulan muttered. King Yao said coldly, I was thinking of asking you to apologize to Mr. Sun, and then let Su Chen treat my cousin. Hearing this, Li Yulan screamed. What? This Su Chen wants us to apologize to Sun Zongjing? Impossible. That Sun Zongjing is a mediocre doctor. You want us to apologize to him? No way. Li Yulan was not convinced. King Yao was furious. Then you just wait for a miracle doctor to fall from the sky. Just pray that you can find a miracle doctor before my cousin gets sick. Li Yulan pouted. Haha. Just a young man. What real ability can he have? You still want to use this matter to force us to apologize. Wishful thinking. King Yao stopped talking and turned away angrily. Hey. Yao, you are leaving now? Wang Tao asked. Aren't you bringing people to see your grandpa? King Yao's voice came from afar. No, let my grandpa continue to hide. Remember to give him his teacup. It's almost cold. Wang Tao and Li Yulan looked at each other and looked at the table together. Wang Xingzu's teacup was still steaming. A trace of embarrassment appeared on their faces. Wang Xingzu usually never put down this teacup. It's now on the table, still steaming, which means he just left not long ago. I guess Yao has already seen that our dad wants to put on airs and deliberately take advantage of Su Chen. Wang Tao's face was a little embarrassed. What's wrong with seeing it? Li Yulan said disdainfully. Wang Bo reminded from the side. Mom, this time it's my cousin's husband and cousin who don't want to see my grandfather at all. You just took advantage of them. Li Yulan looked embarrassed and kicked Wang Bo. You are the one who talks too much. You deserve to be beaten. Soon, Wang Xingzu, who had been hiding in loneliness, came out again. He looked a little ugly. After all, King Yao didn't mention meeting him at all. Wang Xingzu listened to Li Yulan's introduction. Finally, he nodded and said, Xinlan is right. This Su Chen may have some skills, but he is thinking too much to force my Wang family to apologize with this. Wang Tao said, Dad, I heard from Yao that Su Chen seems to have a higher level of skills. He can solve many diseases that Sun Zongjing can't solve. Wang Xingzu shook his head. Even if that's the case, so what? Is there no other miracle doctor in the world except Su Chen? Don't worry. Just now, I contacted a miracle doctor ranked in the top 10 of the Saint Hand list. He will come to our Bincheng to treat Yuting. This time, Yuting will definitely be cured. Wang Tao and Li Yulan's eyes lit up immediately. Dad, is he really a miracle doctor on the Saint Hand list? Li Yulan asked excitedly. The Saint Hand list is a list of miracle doctors across the country. Just being on this list is already a great achievement. What's more, he has to be in the top 10 on this list. Sun Zongjing is already one of the most famous doctors in Bincheng, but he doesn't occupy any position on the Saint Hand list. After Yuting is cured by the miracle doctor, I will definitely take her to the Qin family and let Qin Yao see her. Li Yulan showed a proud smile on her face. On the other side, Qin Yao walked out of the Wang family villa area quickly and caught up with Su Chen and Sun Zongjing. Su Chen, miracle doctor son, I'm really sorry. I didn't expect my uncle and aunt to be like this. Qin Yao was embarrassed. Sun Zongjing smiled faintly and said, Miss Qin, this is not your fault. In fact, it's still because of my limited ability that I can't treat Miss Wang. Qin Yao looked at Su Chen cautiously and said, my benefactor, you won't be angry with me, right? Su Chen smiled. How could I? I will only admire you more. Just now, you argued with reason and sacrificed your relatives for the sake of justice. It was so handsome. Qin Yao smiled immediately. However, Qin Yao still had a trace of sadness in her heart. She had a very good relationship with her cousin Wang Yuting, but now because of her aunt and uncle, her cousin missed the treatment. She felt a little regretful. After that, Qin Yao sent Su Chen and Sun Zongjing back to their respective places. Su Chen returned to Zhao's catering group and felt that the atmosphere seemed a little different. The employees coming and going were flustered and hurried. Su Chen returned to the secretariat office. Ding-ling-ling. Just as he was about to step in, his cell phone rang. Looking down, it was Qin Yao who had just separated. What's wrong? Su Chen asked. Qin Yao's anxious voice came. My benefactor, go check the news. Zhou Shiji announced that he would ban Zhao's catering group. Su Chen was stunned and hurriedly said, okay, I'll go and see now. After hanging up the phone, Su Chen walked directly into the secretariat office. At this time, in the secretariat office, Zhang Yu and others were no longer as casual as before, but looked solemn. Brother Chen, you're back. Come and see. Zhou Shiji, the bastard, announced that he would ban Zhao's catering group. Zhang Yu hurriedly greeted Su Chen. Su Chen came over and saw a video playing on Zhang Yu's computer screen. The content is that Zhou Shiji held a press conference and announced in front of the media that he would go to war with the Zhou family. Any company or enterprise that has any economic dealings with the Zhou family will be included in our family's blacklist and will become the enemy of our Zhou family and our partners. I hope all companies in Bincheng will make a correct assessment of this matter and make the right choice in the end. At the press conference, Zhou Shiji smiled grimly. Chapter 84 I really have a solution. A single stone stirs up 1,000 waves. The entire Bincheng business community was shocked. This situation has not happened for a long time. Two large companies went to war directly, announced a ban in public, and forced other companies to take sides. What's more, one of them is the richest man in Bincheng. In the comments below the video, countless netizens sang the bad news about the Zhou catering group. It's over. As a spectator, I unilaterally declare that the Zhou family is finished. Yeah. It seems that all the companies targeted by Zhou Shiji have not been able to hold on. Is there anyone who can tell me what happened? Maybe Zhou Shiji fell in love with Zhou Wanqiu. I heard that Zhou Wanqiu is very beautiful. I guess Zhou Shiji failed to propose to her and he turned hatred from love. The comment area quickly went off topic. However, most netizens were still analyzing the results. The vast majority of people thought that the Zhou family was going to be finished. Zhang Yu and others looked at each other. Liu Pan looked at Su Chen nervously and asked, Brother Chen, what's going on? Is our group really going to go bankrupt? This time, it seems to be more fierce than the one in the health department. Su Chen said in a deep voice, don't worry, things haven't reached the worst yet. At this time, a staff member came out of the door, a young girl. Is Su Chen back? Su Chen said, I am. Boss Zhao asked me to inform you to get ready and go to the conference room for a meeting immediately. Su Chen nodded. When such a big thing happened, Zhou Wanqiu must have held a meeting to study countermeasures as soon as possible. Soon, the conference room was crowded. Zhao Pingjiang, as the chairman of the group, sat in the main seat. Next to him was Zhou Wanqiu, the president. All department heads came together quickly, each with a serious expression. Some people were flustered and whispered to each other. Everyone knew that Zhao's catering group was really in danger. Fortunately, after the last incident in the health department, Zhao's catering group kicked out internal termites such as Gao Rinhui. Now the majority of the group's shares are in the hands of the Zhou family. A small part of the rest is also in the hands of Zhao's Dihad fans. So, although everyone was in a panic, no one took advantage of the chaos to make trouble. But even so, bad news could not be stopped from coming one after another. Boss Zhao, it's bad. Our food street project has received a notice of suspension of cooperation. Boss Zhao, several construction site canteens we are negotiating with have now clearly stated that they do not accept Zhao's catering group. And our food department has many suppliers who want to terminate cooperation. And our fast food chain, the Wei family, also called us. Bad news came one after another. In the conference room, it was brought up by the person in charge. Zhao Pingjiang and Zhou Wanqiu looked at each other, and their brows became tighter and tighter. The faces of other people were covered with a layer of clouds. On the other side, in a luxurious villa, Zhao Shiji looked proud. He Zhenshin raised his wine glass respectfully and flattered. Mr. Zhao, I really admire you. If you bang me, all cooperation of the entire Zhao catering group will be terminated. In the Bincheng business community, you are the one who can turn the world upside down with just a stomp of your feet. Zhao Shiji was very proud, but he smiled and said, this is not my ability, but my father's energy. He Zhenshin said more respectfully, your father's energy is your energy. This is called a tiger father and a dog son. Now, Zhao's catering group is expected to go bankrupt in a few days. By then, all the companies in Bincheng will know how powerful you are, Mr. Zhao. Hearing this flattery, Zhao Shiji's recent gloom was swept away. Haha, you old guy have vision, and have joined me early. Zhao Shiji laughed. He Zhenshin became more respectful. At this time, in another hotel box, there was another group of people who were also very excited. It was none other than Gao Minimum, Gao Rinhui, Hao Xiankang and others who were kicked out of the Zhao catering group. Gao Minimum was extremely excited. Zhao Shiji, the son of the richest man, has completely banned Zhao's catering group. I guess that little bitch Zhou Wanqiu is going to cry. Ha ha ha. Whenever she heard that Zhou Wanqiu was in trouble, she wanted to climax right there. Hao Xiankang also sneered. The ban is good. The Zhao family, those bastards, didn't let us redeem our shares back then. Now, they are still going bankrupt. Zhang Zhancheng was relieved. Fortunately, we didn't redeem our shares at that time, otherwise we would have been in trouble with the Zhao family now. A group of shareholders, big and small, rejoiced. Now, they are doing everything they can to hope that Zhao's catering group will fall. Only in this way can they prove their foresight. Otherwise, they will be nailed to the pillar of shame of blindness. Gao Rinhui raised his lips and said loudly, everyone, see. This is the fate of continuing to follow Zhao's catering group. Now, the richest man in Bincheng has set his sights on them, and the Zhao family is completely hopeless. If you will believe me, let's go to the Zhao family together. In this way, we can also tear a piece of meat from Zhao's catering. Hao Xiankang frowned slightly and said, we also want to drink soup from the Zhao family, but they don't think highly of us at all. Other small shareholders also nodded. Gao Rinhui smiled and said, everyone, don't worry, I know He Xianlong, the boss of his catering group. If he introduces us, we will definitely be able to hold the fire of the Zhao family. Everyone was overjoyed and raised their glasses to celebrate. For a time, the entire business community in Bincheng seemed to be waiting to see the joke of Zhao's catering group, in the conference room. Everyone's mood became more and more depressed. As news of the termination of cooperation came one after another, everyone's heart slowly sank to the bottom. Zhao Changling is the richest man in Bincheng, spanning many industries. Many large group companies in Bincheng have large and small cooperation with the Zhao family. It is very easy to choose between Zhao Changling and Zhao's catering. At the order of the Zhao family, they immediately chose to stand on the side of the Zhao family. Even some of the Zhao family's deep cooperation partners may not rely on the Zhao family for food at all. But in the face of the Zhao family's threats, they can only reluctantly cut off cooperation with the Zhao family to avoid offending the Zhao family. This is the status of the richest man in Bincheng. Everyone was anxiously discussing, and it was in full swing. But most people's opinions were to apologize to the Zhao family, hoping to get their understanding and forgiveness. After all, facing the richest man in Bincheng, no one could think of any way to break the deadlock. Listening to everyone's discussion, Zhou Wanqiu frowned. She knew clearly that an apology would not work at all. Last night, Grandpa was ready to compensate 100 million, but Zhao Shiji didn't accept it. It would be useless to say these now. What should I do? Zhou Wanqiu was anxious, but her eyes suddenly glanced at Su Chen. At this time, Su Chen was sitting in a chair nonchalantly, watching the discussion of other people in the conference room with interest, as if he didn't take the Zhao family's ban seriously at all. Thinking of the fact that Su Chen had asked for leave today to fool around, Zhou Wanqiu was furious. Ahem. Zhou Wanqiu coughed. The conference room was instantly quiet. Everyone's eyes turned to Zhou Wanqiu. However, Zhou Wanqiu stared at Su Chen and said, Su Chen, I want to hear your opinion. Do you have any way to help us deal with the Zhao family's ban? Su Chen was stunned. He didn't expect that Zhou Wanqiu would actually come to him. Zhao Pingjiang was also a little confused, wondering what his daughter was thinking. As for the other people in the conference room, there was a hint of disbelief in their eyes. After all, they had heard of Su Chen. Although he was Zhou Wanqiu's secretary, he was just a relative arranged by Zhou Rongchang. Zhou Wanqiu's question to him was simply a waste of time. Li Fingjiao, the our manager, said disdainfully, Boss Zhao, Su Chen is just from a village. He may not even know who the richest man in Bincheng is. What can he do? Everyone curled their lips and tried to hold back their laughter. At this time, Su Chen stood up and spoke lightly. Excuse me, I do have a solution. Chapter 85. Let's ban the Zhao family. The conference room was silent. Li Fingjiao was stunned. Zhou Wanqiu's eyes were also full of surprise. Could it be that the reason Su Chen gave when he asked for leave in the afternoon was true? What method? Tell me quickly. If it works, there will be a big reward. Zhou Wanqiu asked anxiously. In the conference room, others also stared at Su Chen. Su Chen smiled faintly and said, my method is very simple. That is, we also ban the Zhao family. Ban the Zhao family? Everyone was stunned at first, and then their eyes widened. They suspected that they had heard it wrong. Zhou Wanqiu was also a little confused. She stared at Su Chen and repeated her doubts. You mean, we ban the Zhao family? Su Chen nodded. At this time, everyone exploded. In an instant, a burst of discussion broke out in the entire conference room. Is Mr. Zhao's secretary crazy? Our Zhao catering group is going to ban the Zhao family, the richest family in Bincheng. Isn't this nonsense? This is simply adding fuel to the fire. How funny. It seems that this guy knows nothing. There are no serious people in the secretariat office. They are all rich second generations who are pampered and have pig brains. I don't understand why Mr. Zhao asked him. Everyone looked at him with contempt. Zhou Wanqiu was also disappointed. Perhaps he should not have any expectations of Su Chen. Okay, Su Chen, stop joking and sit down. Zhou Wanqiu said weakly. However, Su Chen said seriously, I'm serious, not joking. Everyone was puzzled. Zhou Wanqiu suppressed his anger and frowned, saying, okay, then tell me your reasons. Su Chen looked around and said calmly, everyone knows that our group does not have any advantage over the Zhao family. However, there is one thing that you may have overlooked. Zhou Wanqiu asked, what is it? Su Chen smiled. The Zhao family is not the sky of Bincheng. They also have their own enemies and other troubles. At this time, Zhao Pingjiang's eyes suddenly lit up and looked at Su Chen. Then what? Zhou Wanqiu also asked hurriedly. Su Chen said calmly, we feel powerless now because only Zhao's catering group is fighting against the Zhao family. But if we can win over the enemies of the Zhao family, Zhao's catering will no longer be weak alone. And what I said about banning the Zhao family is actually a signal of declaration of war, which can let the potential enemies of the Zhao family see our determination and stand with us. Zhao Pingjiang and Zhou Wanqiu looked at each other with a hint of surprise on their faces. They could hear that Su Chen was not talking nonsense, but really offering advice. Su Chen continued, everyone in Bincheng knows that the Zhao family offended many local families in Bincheng during its rise. Don't these families want revenge? There are many other industries that have been forcibly snatched away by the Zhao family. Don't they want to take it back? These people are all potential allies of our Zhao's catering. At this time, the more scared we are, the less likely they will choose to stand with us. On the contrary, if we make a call at the right time, they are likely to join forces with us. Now is a very suitable time point. Why not seize such a good opportunity? Su Chen said a lot in one breath. In the conference room, everyone's expression gradually changed from disdain at the beginning to serious thinking. In the end, they became excited, because they felt that Su Chen's suggestion might really be a feasible way. At least, it can be tried. For a while, the conference room was full of discussions, and they were analyzing the feasibility of Su Chen's plan. After Su Chen finished speaking, he sat back, still looking nonchalant. Zhou Wanqiu looked at Su Chen deeply, then turned to discuss with his father and confidants. Soon, after some discussion, everyone made the final decision. Zhou Wanqiu stood up and said, "Everyone, Zhao's catering group is on the verge of life and death. Thank you for your advice. After our discussion, we decided to adopt Su Chen's method, to block the Zhou family. Now the first thing, everyone applaud and thank Su Chen." Wow. Suddenly, a round of applause broke out. Listening to the deafening applause and everyone's attention, Su Chen was a little surprised and a little uncomfortable. Zhou Wanqiu continued, "The second thing, the public relations department immediately contacted the media and released the news that our Zhao's catering group would fight back. The third thing, everyone return to their posts and prepare to meet the crazy counterattack of the Zhou family. If there is anything, report to me as soon as possible. Everyone, the battle has begun. After getting through this level, our Zhao's catering will definitely go to a high level." In the meeting room, everyone was excited and finally dispersed and returned to their posts. Su Chen glanced at Zhou Wanqiu. He didn't expect that Zhou Wanqiu actually listened to his advice and made such a decisive decision. Su Chen was about to leave. At this time, Zhou Wanqiu, who was discussing something with Zhao Pingjiang, looked up. "Su Chen, what do you think is the success rate of our declaration of war on the Zhou family?" Zhou Wanqiu stared at him and asked. Su Chen was stunned and then said, "How should I know? I'm just giving a suggestion." Zhou Wanqiu was stunned. So, this guy is just talking nonsense? I thought he was really trying to find a solution for the group. Zhou Wanqiu was very angry. Su Chen saw that he had nothing to do, so he quickly slipped away. At this time, Zhao Pingjiang said in a deep voice, "Su Chen may not have considered the success rate, but his method is the best method now." Zhou Wanqiu was stunned and asked, "Dad, do you think this trick can resist the Zhou family?" Zhao Pingjiang shook his head. "It doesn't matter whether this trick works or not. It's clear now that Zhou Shiji and his men want our Zhao family to die. At this time, if we don't resist, we will be completely finished. When two people meet on a narrow road, the brave will win. If you don't even have the courage to draw your sword against the Zhou family, then you will really lose. In this regard, both my father and I are not as good as Su Chen." Zhou Wanqiu was silent. She was a little reluctant to admit it. However, before Su Chen spoke, she had never thought about breaking up with the Zhou family completely. After Su Chen left the meeting room, he walked back to the secretariat office. Immediately, several other people immediately surrounded him. Brother Chen, did you hear any inside information when you went to the meeting?" Zhang Yu was the first to come forward and ask. Liu Pan also said nervously, "Now, should our Zhao catering group apologize to the Zhou family in the newspaper?" Everyone stared at Su Chen. Su Chen said calmly, "Don't be afraid. President Zhao and the others have found a way to deal with it." Everyone's expression suddenly relaxed. "Yeah, I knew that Sister Qiu would be fine." Su Jiao jumped up, then looked at Su Chen and asked, "Brother Chen, what is Sister Qiu going to do?" "It's very simple." Su Chen said calmly, "On the contrary, ban the Zhao family." In an instant, everyone was stunned. Su Jiao stammered and asked, "Brother Chen, what did you say? Are you kidding? You guys go check the news now, it should be announced soon." Su Chen shrugged. Zhang Yu and others immediately didn't bother to ask Su Chen anymore, and hurried to the computer to check. Soon, a scream rang out. "Damn, it's true. Our Zhao group has declared war on the Zhou family." Zhang Yu was shocked. Chapter 86. I dare to jump down from the building. A video was playing on Zhang Yu's computer screen. It was the PR manager of Zhao's catering group who was interviewed and announced the ban on the Zhou family. He responded to the Zhou family with almost the same words as Zhou Shiji. Anyone who continues to cooperate with the Zhou family will be on Zhao's catering's blacklist and will be Zhao's catering's enemy in the future. The two major groups declared a complete war. Everyone in the secretariat office was stunned. Zhang Yu was very excited. Damn, awesome. As expected, my sister Qiu is tough. Ha ha ha. At this time, Liu Pan smiled bitterly and said, it is indeed quite tough. But is it reliable for Zhao's catering to bang the Zhou family, the richest man in Bincheng? Xian Yang said, yes. Although it seems to be more satisfying, we don't seem to have the strength to do so. Everyone calmed down immediately. Zhang Yu said regardless, don't worry. Since President Zhao and others have this determination, it means that they must have thought of a way. Besides, even if there is no way, it can disgust the Zhou family. Otherwise, they will really beg for mercy. Everyone nodded. On the internet, people from all walks of life in Bincheng also saw Zhao's catering group's declaration of war and immediately talked about it. Damn. Did I see it wrong? Zhao's catering group wants to bang the Zhou family. This is not a joke, right? I guess they don't want to die so ugly, they just struggled. Ha ha ha. They are quite courageous. They didn't go directly to Zhou Shiji to beg for mercy, but declaring war on the Zhou family is still a bit arrogant. Oh. Don't worry about it for now. I'd better go to Zhao's catering fast food chain to eat a piece of braised pork. I'm really afraid that I will never be able to eat it again in the future. There is no doubt. Netizens regarded the declaration of war on the Zhao family as a joke. In addition to netizens, another group of people thought so. It was Gao Minimum, Gao Rinhui and others. Haha. My god, I was really laughed to death by Zhou Wanqiu. She actually announced that she would ban the Zhou family. Did she get kicked in the head by a donkey? Gao Minimum laughed. On the side, her brother Gao Rinhui also laughed and said, at first, I was worried that Zhao Pingjiang would beg for mercy and surrender to the Zhou family, but I didn't expect them to seek death themselves. Originally, Zhao's catering still had a glimmer of hope, but now the Zhou family must kill the chicken to scare the monkey. All the shareholders, big and small, burst into laughter. At this time, Hao Xiankang's eyes turned. Director Gao, I think we can now go to Zhao Pingjiang and Zhou Wanqiu, try to take down the good projects in their hands, and take a good bite of their meat. Gao Rinhuo's eyes lit up. He nodded and said, that's right, the Zhao family is definitely going to be finished. If we get more good projects from them, he Zenshin and Zhou Shiji will have more than just the Bincheng Entertainment City Food Center as a trump card in the future. All the shareholders were very excited and urged Gao Rinhui to act. Everyone rushed towards Zhao's catering. The Zhou family soon got the news. He Zenshin looked at Zhou Shiji and said respectfully, Mr. Zhou, the Zhao family has declared war on you. Why aren't you anxious? Haha. Zhou Shiji sneered. It's just the Zhao family. Have you ever seen an ant provoke an elephant? Does the elephant need to be anxious? They just want to die more decently and heroically. Don't worry, I will satisfy them. Ha ha ha. Zhou Shiji laughed up to the sky. He Zenshin said with some worry, Mr. Zhou, if they do this, will other groups or families in Bincheng stand up and support them? Zhou Shiji raised his mouth. I can naturally see what the Zhao family is thinking. But they are too naive. My father is the richest man in Bincheng, and my family's industry involves almost half of the industries in Bincheng. Who dares to stand up and compete with my family? If there is no certainty of victory, no one will dare to risk offending my father and stand on the side of the Zhao family. Zhou Shiji was very confident. Mr. Zhou is mighty. Seeing him so confident, he Zenshin also laughed. On the other side, Zhao's catering group, president's office, Zhou Wanqiu and Zhao Pingjiang sat opposite each other. Both of them had a trace of anxiety on their faces. Dad, we have declared war for an hour, but no family or group has spoken out yet, and no one has contacted us. I feel that our plan may have failed. Zhou Wanqiu looked melancholy. Zhao Pingjiang comforted him. Don't worry yet. After all, standing on our side means going against Zhao Changling. Those families and companies also need to hold meetings to discuss. Zhou Wanqiu was relieved after hearing his father's words. At this time, a staff member came up to report. Mr. Zhao, a guest has made an appointment to see you. Zhou Wanqiu and Zhao Pingjiang's faces suddenly lit up, and they hurriedly asked, who is it? It's sus. The door of the office was pushed open directly, and the staff were pushed aside. Several familiar figures appeared at the door. The smiles on Zhou Wanqiu and Zhao Pingjiang's faces were immediately put away. The people who came were Gao Minimum, Gao Rinhui, Hao Xian Kong, Zhang Zhangcheng and others. Ha ha ha. Zhou Wanqiu, did you think we were here to cooperate with you to deal with the Zhao family? Are you disappointed? Gao Minimum laughed so hard that her whole body trembled. We deliberately asked the staff to make an appointment just to tease you. Ha ha ha. You are crazy too. You actually really believe that if you declare a war, someone will stand with you? Gao Minimum was arrogant and very proud. Zhou Wanqiu looked at her coldly and said nothing. On the side, Zhao Pingjiang said coldly, this is the business of my Zhao catering group. It has nothing to do with you. What are you doing here? Gao Rinhui laughed loudly. Zhao Pingjiang, don't be so stubborn. Zhao catering is finished. We are here to save you. As long as you hand over several good projects of Zhao catering group to me, I'm willing to help you say a good word to Mr. Zhao. Zhao Pingjiang's face was gloomy. Zhou Wanqiu sneered. It turns out that you guys not only want to take advantage of the fire, but also want to get something for nothing. You are really shameless. Who are you saying is shameless? Gao Minimum was immediately furious. I tell you, Zhou Wanqiu, if you transfer the project to us now, we can at least leave you some money. Otherwise, your Zhao family will be eaten alive by the Zhao family. Zhou Wanqiu said coldly, who told you that my Zhao family will definitely lose? Gao Minimum laughed arrogantly. Zhou Wanqiu, you are not naive enough to think that someone will really stand up to support you? Don't dream. No one dares to form an alliance with you. Your current enemy is the Zhao family, the richest family in Bincheng. If anyone dares to form an alliance with you, I dare to jump off the building now. Haha. Gao Rinhui and his group laughed suddenly. At this time, a cold shout came from outside the door. Who said no one dares to form an alliance with Zhao's catering? Everyone was stunned. They looked outside the door and saw Qin Wentian striding in with a lot of people. For a moment, Gao Minimum was dumbfounded. Zhou Wanqiu and Zhao Pingjiang, on the other hand, were ecstatic. Chapter 87. Please show me Zhao's catering group in the president's office. Everyone stared at Qin Wentian and others who pushed the door open. This turned out to be Qin Wentian, the chairman of Xian Hao Group, the president of Bincheng Chamber of Commerce. What is he doing here? Not only Qin Wentian, but also Liu Dong of Xian Fang Construction, Zhang Dong of Remote Machinery, and Liang Dong of Chengxi Grain Industry. There are so many big figures in Bincheng's business community. What do they want to do when they come to Zhao's catering? The shareholders, big and small, brought by Gao Rinhui, were talking about it. A shadow flashed across Gao Minimum's heart. Zhao Pingjiang's face showed ecstasy. He hurried forward to shake hands. President Qin, why are you here? Qin Wentian laughed and said, I saw your group's declaration of war against the Zhao family. It happened that many members of our Chamber of Commerce had been bullied by the Zhao family, so we discussed it. After that, our Bincheng Chamber of Commerce decided to stand with the Zhao family and contribute to purifying the business environment of Bincheng. Zhou Wanqiu and Zhao Pingjiang were overjoyed. Qin Wentian's Xian Hao Group is also a large enterprise in Bincheng. What's more, he also brought many groups or companies. This is a timely help for Zhao's catering. At this time, Qin Wentian looked at Gao Minimum, Gao Rinhui, Hao Xian Kong and others. He said with sarcasm, I just heard some people say that, as long as someone dares to form an alliance with Zhao's catering, she will jump from the building. Is that true? Although I, Qin Wentian, have seen some big scenes, I have never seen jumping from a building with my own eyes. Which warrior said this? Please perform it for us. Zhou Wanqiu pointed at Gao Minimum and said lightly, Mr. Qin, it's her. Gao Minimum's face instantly became as ugly as if she had swallowed a fly alive. She couldn't understand why Qin Wentian dared to help the Zhao family at this time. Everyone's eyes were focused on Gao Minimum, making her embarrassed and unable to raise her head. At this time, Gao Rinhui quickly interrupted and said, Boskin, I know that your Cheyenne Heo group is a big family. But compared with the Zhao family, you are still far behind, right? Qin Wentian glanced at him coldly. What's the matter? Hurry up. Gao Rinhui was embarrassed. He didn't expect that Qin Wentian would not give him any face, and directly hit him in the face. Gao Rinhui said with a stiff face, although you are the president of Bincheng Chamber of Commerce, it is just an empty title. Facing Mr. Zhao, the richest man in Bincheng, this title is useless. I think you'd better consider whether it is worth standing against the Zhao family because of the Zhao family. After saying this, Zhou Wanqiu and Zhao Pingjiang glared at each other. He finally recruited a few helpers, but Gao Rinhui actually wanted to destroy it for him. At this time, Qin Wentian said coldly, how to make a choice, don't we know it better than you? Every one of us has his own industry, and each of us has made decisions that determine the fate of the group. Who doesn't have a clearer mind than you? You are a second largest shareholder who was kicked out, and you want to teach us how to do things? Qin Wentian said this, leaving no face for Gao Rinhui. Gao Rinhui was poked in the sore spot, and his face turned blue and red. The next moment, he raised his head and glared. Qin Wentian, you are bullying too much. What's so great about you? Even if your business is doing well, so what? Today, you brought these rotten sweet potatoes and rotten eggs here, just to go to destruction with the Zhao family. When the Zhao family will eat you all, I wonder if you can still be arrogant again. Even if all of you are tied together, you will not be Zhao Changling's opponent. Gao Rinhui roared angrily. At this moment, an old voice sounded. If the Zhao family, the Qin family, and the Bincheng Chamber of Commerce are not enough, then what about me, an old man? Everyone was stunned. Turning his head again, he saw Li Xiaolei and his son Li Chunren pushing the door open. Oh my god, it's the Li family. Li Xiaolei, the former richest man in Bincheng. Is the Li family going to stand with the Zhao family? In this case, I'm afraid the Zhao family really has no advantage. Seeing this scene, Zhou Wanqiu and Zhao Pingjiang's eyes were full of disbelief and ecstasy. They originally envisioned that they would just gather some families and companies that the Zhao family had bullied before, and everyone would hug each other for warmth. As a result, now they actually attracted a behemoth, the Li family. The Zhao family is really saved. Gao Minimum, Gao Rinhui and others were completely confused. If the appearance of Qin Wentian and others only made them a little nervous, then the joining of Li Xiaolei made them completely panic. Mr. Li, welcome. Zhao Pingjiang was excited. This legendary figure in the Bincheng business community is Zhao Pingjiang's idol. Zhou Wanqiu was also full of joy. Mr. Li, I'm Zhou Wanqiu. Thank you for your support for the Zhao family. Li Xiaolei knew something about the relationship between Zhou Wanqiu and Su Chen, and immediately showed a kind smile. Mr. Zhao, I know him. Mr. Zhao, I have also heard of him. It is true that a tiger father has no dog daughter. Zhou Wanqiu and Zhao Pingjiang were overjoyed. Li Xiaolei's attitude said a lot. Don't worry, I'm here to support Zhao's catering this time. Li Xiaolei said, over the years, the business community in Bincheng has been messed up by the Zhao family, and now they want to bully others. I can't stand it, old man. On the way here, I have followed the Qin family and issued a statement in support of the Zhao family. Now, it is not the Zhao family that is blocking the Zhao family, but us blocking the Zhao family. We are united. I want to see whether Zhao Changling will bow his head and apologize, or fight with us. Hearing what Li Xiaolei said, the Zhao family father and daughter were completely relieved. Gao Rinhui, Gao Minimum and others on the side were completely dumbfounded. Before Li Xiaolei came, they could still say that the Zhao family and the Qin family together were no match for the Zhao family. But the appearance of Li Xiaolei changed the situation. Faced with Li Xiaolei's joining, Zhao Changling really needed to be careful. Gao Minimum looked at Zhou Wanqiu, and her teeth itched with hatred. She couldn't understand why someone would come out to help the Zhao family at this time. At the same time, people from all walks of life in Bincheng were also shocked by the two statements made by Qin Wentian and Li Xiaolei. Damn. Cheyenne Heo Group issued a statement to stand with Zhao's catering. It's not just the Qin family. Qin Wentian is the president of the Bincheng Chamber of Commerce, and there are many members of the Chamber of Commerce who will help the Zhao family with him. Now, they may really be able to resist the Zhao family. That's not certain. If things go wrong, once the richest man Zhao Changling makes a move, this so-called alliance will dissolve itself. Haha. At this time, Li Xiaolei's statement was issued. Damn. Li Xiaolei, the former richest man in Bincheng, also issued a statement. He wants to stand with the Zhao family and the Qin family to boycott the Zhao family. The former richest man declared war on the current richest man. So exciting. With Li Xiaolei, the Zhao family is really alive now. At least it can be evenly matched with the Zhao family. Yes, if these people form an alliance, they may really be able to bang the Zhao family. Of course, the greater probability is that they will hurt the enemy by 1000 and lose 800 of their own. On the internet, netizens once again set off a climax of discussion. However, this time the focus of netizens' discussion is no longer how many days the Zhao family will last before falling, but the outcome of the battle between the Zhao family and the Zhao family alliance. No one thinks that the Zhao family will fall completely. At this time, the two statements of Qin Wentian and Li Xiaolei were also passed to the Zhao family. Chapter 88 The help brought by Gao Rinhui. At the wine table, Zhao Shiji was still drinking to celebrate. Suddenly the door opened, and He Zenshin walked in with a panicked look on his face. Mr. Zhao, it's bad. Someone stood on the side of the Zhao family and declared war on us. He Zenshin said anxiously. Bang. Zhao Shiji slapped the table. Which bastard is so bold that he dares to ignore my Zhao Shiji's ban order? Zhao Shiji asked angrily. He Zenshin hurriedly said, it's Qin Wentian from Cheyenne Heo Group. Not only him, but also several people from his Bincheng Chamber of Commerce, Liu Yuan from Cheyenne Fang Construction, Zhang Ze from Remote Machinery, and Liang Zhongshu from Chengxi Grain Industry, etc., all of whom have had their business taken away by the richest man Zhao. Haha. Zhao Shiji sneered repeatedly. Who did I think it was? It turned out to be these guys. My dad didn't like them in the first place, and this time they jumped out again, just giving my dad an excuse to kill them. Don't worry. Even if they are tied together, they are not enough for our Zhao family to fight. Zhao Shiji was very arrogant. He Zenshin's face relaxed immediately. Ding dong. At this moment, he received a message on his mobile phone. He Zenshin's face changed drastically. Mr. Zhao, it's bad. Li Xiaolei just announced that he would form an alliance with the Zhao family, saying that he would join his colleagues to boycott the Zhao family that disrupted the business environment of Bincheng. Bang. Zhao Shiji's cup fell to the ground. This old man. This time, Zhao Shiji could no longer remain calm. His eyes were blazing, and he gritted his teeth. If the Zhao family only had the help of the Qin family and the Bincheng Chamber of Commerce, he really didn't care. But now that the former richest man Li Xiaolei has stepped forward, this matter has become serious. It can be said that the power gathered by the Zhao family at this time is no weaker than that of the Zhao family. Mr. Zhao, what should we do now? He Zenshin asked. Zhao Shiji said coldly, Li Xiaolei has stepped forward. This matter is beyond my control. Now I must report to my father and let him decide. As he spoke, Zhao Shiji rushed out of the door. He Zenshin breathed a sigh of relief. With Zhao Changling to handle it, it shouldn't be a big problem. Zhao's catering group. In the president's office. Gao Minimum, Gao Rinhui and others were not in a good mood. A group of shareholders who had withdrawn their shares from Zhao's catering looked at the many Bincheng business leaders in Zhou Wanqiu's office with mixed feelings. These people in front of them were all well-known entrepreneurs in Bincheng. There was even Li Xiaolei, the former richest man in Bincheng. With the help of these people, Zhao's catering, even the Zhao family couldn't act rashly. Even Zhao's catering could take advantage of the situation and go to a higher level. It's a pity that these have nothing to do with them. They have all been kicked out. At this moment, they looked so annoying in this office. Zhou Wanqiu glanced at Gao Minimum and said coldly, Gao Minimum, you stay here now. Do you want to continue to perform jumping off the building for us? Ha ha ha. The people on the Zhao's catering side laughed. Gao Minimum hated it so much that her teeth were about to break, but there was nothing she could do. She knew that Zhou Wanqiu was going to drive them away. After all, Zhao Pingjiang and Zhou Wanqiu, father and daughter, must discuss countermeasures with Qin Wentian, Li Xiaolei and others. Let's go. Gao Rinhui said coldly and turned away. Now, if they stay here, they will not gain anything, except being ridiculed in vain. Others can only follow in dejection. A group of people came with high hopes, but left disappointed. After the Gao brothers and sisters and others left, everyone in the president's office smiled. Come on. Mr. Li, Mr. Qin, all the bosses, the office is too small, let's go to the conference room to discuss the next strategy. Zhao Pingjiang called. Then, a group of people rushed to the conference room. On the other side, Gao Rinhui and others walked out of Zhao's catering group. Everyone's face was very ugly. What the hell is going on? I came here to get some benefits, but I ended up watching Zhao's catering turn around. That's right. I realized that we shouldn't have left Zhao's catering. Otherwise, we would be so prosperous now, with so many companies forming an alliance with us. That's right, we wouldn't be as displaced as we are now, and we don't know where to go in the future. At the beginning, we said we would set up a company together to compete with the Zhao family. Now that so many companies have formed an alliance with the Zhao family, we'd better not do that. Everyone was talking, full of resentment. Gao Rinhui looked ugly. It was obvious that these people were talking to him. Shut up. Gao Rinhui roared. Everyone was silent. Gao Rinhui's eyes slid across the faces of all the shareholders. Everyone lowered their heads. Why are you all panicking? Gao Rinhui said coldly. Now, Zhao's catering can only barely survive. They haven't won yet. Do you think the Zhao family will give up easily? With Zhao Changling's temper and personality, he will never tolerate so many companies uniting to deal with him. So, now is a good time for us to join the Zhao family. Don't forget, I still have the Bincheng Entertainment City Food Center project of the Yao family in the provincial capital, and I can also win over the Yao family in the provincial capital to support the Zhao family. Such an external force is a timely help for the Zhao family. Hearing this, everyone's eyes lit up. Yes, yes, yes. Gao Minimum nodded excitedly. The current Zhao family alliance is at most evenly matched with the Zhao family. If we bring the Yao family to the provincial capital, it will be the last straw that breaks the camel's back. The others were also excited. Let's go. Let's go find He Zenshin and ask him to introduce us to the richest man Zhao. Everyone stopped complaining about Gao Rinhui and urged him excitedly. Gao Rinhui smiled triumphantly and waved his hand, saying, let's go find He Zenshin. We'll eat the Zhao family's fat meat later. Soon, Gao Rinhui and others contacted He Zenshin. After finding out He Zenshin's location, they quickly rushed to the hotel where he was. In the hotel box, He Zenshin was a little anxious. After Li Xiaolei issued a statement, Zhao Shiji went to Zhao Changling to report, but no news had come yet. At this time, Gao Rinhui, the second largest shareholder of the former Zhao's catering group, contacted him and said he would give him great news, which made He Zenshin look forward to it. Dang dang dang. There was a knock on the door outside. He Zenshin looked excited and got up to open the door. Mr. He, I'm Gao Rinhui, nice to meet you. Mr. Gao, I've heard a lot about you. The two greeted each other, and He Zenshin asked Gao Rinhui and others to enter the box. Gao Rinhui also introduced the others. He Zenshin's face was full of smiles. Through Gao Rinhui's introduction, he already understood that Gao Rinhui brought half of Zhao's catering. Gao Rinhui told everyone about being kicked out and scolded the Zhao family. He Zenshin immediately understood the reason. This Zhao family is really hateful. He Zenshin echoed and then asked with a smile, I wonder what Mr. Gao and everyone came to me to do. Gao Rinhui glanced at He Zenshin and said, Mr. He, let's not beat around the bush. We know that Mr. He has now defected to the Zhao family. At this time, the Zhao family, with the help of the Qin family, Bincheng Chamber of Commerce and Li Xiaolei, is evenly matched with the Zhao family. The Zhao family cannot win at all unless it pays a high enough price. Gao Rinhui had a sinister smile on his face. This time, we will bring a strong foreign aid to the Zhao family, which is guaranteed to make the Zhao family and the Li family despair instantly. I hope Mr. He can introduce us to Mr. Zhao Changling. Seeing Gao Rinhui so confident, He Zenshin suddenly became excited. Powerful foreign aid? Which family? If what you said, Mr. Gao, is true, I will definitely recommend it. Compared to Mr. Zhao, I will definitely not treat you unfairly. Gao Rinhui raised his chin slightly and said proudly, the Yao family in the provincial capital. The ecstasy on He Zhenshin's face froze in an instant. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89. Whose foreign aid? Gao Rinhui didn't notice He Zhenshin's expression at all. He still spoke with a smug look on his face. Some time ago, I conspired with the head of the Yao family in the provincial capital to work together, to deal with the Zhou family. He also promised me that he would give me the Bincheng Entertainment City Food Center project. So, I can definitely get the Yao family in the provincial capital to stand on the side of the Zhou family. Mr. He, what do you think of this reinforcement I mentioned? Gao Rinhui looked confident. However, He Zhenshin had a blank expression on his face, and his mouth twitched. Others may not know, but he knows it very well. The Bincheng Entertainment City Food Center project of the Yao family in the provincial capital has been given to Zhou Wanqiu by Yao Zhenfeng, the old head of the Yao family, and it was signed to Zhou Wanqiu after he slapped him in the face in front of him. Now Gao Rinhui said that the Bincheng Entertainment City Food Center project is in his hands, and he also said that he can win over the Yao family in the provincial capital. Isn't this bullshit? He saw with his own eyes how good the old head of the Yao family, Yao Zhenfeng, was to Zhou Wanqiu. Fortunately, he did not take Gao Rinhui to Zhao Changling directly, otherwise he would be dead. He Zhenshin's face turned completely black. Gao Rinhui seemed to see that He Zhenshin was in a bad mood. Mr. He, did you not understand? The Yao family I'm talking about is the Yao family in the provincial capital, a large family that ranks among the top in the province. He added and explained. Of course I know the Yao family in the provincial capital, He Zhenshin said with a gloomy face, but I'm not sure that you can really get the Yao family food center project. I don't believe that you can make the Yao family stand on the side of the Zhou family. Hearing this, Gao Rinhui laughed. Haha, it's normal for Mr. He to have such doubts. I'll call the head of the Yao family right now in front of you, so that you can hear it yourself. He Zhenshin did not comment. Gao Rinhui immediately took out his mobile phone and called Yao Shan. Yao Shan is the son of Yao Zhenfeng, the old head of the Yao family, and the father of Yao Nana. Soon, the call was connected. Hello, is this Master Yao? I'm Gao Rinhui from Bincheng. I went to the provincial capital to visit you some time ago. Gao Rinhui said respectfully. A mature and steady voice came from the opposite side. Oh, Mr. Gao, what can I do for you? Gao Rinhui saw that Yao Shan remembered him and immediately glanced at He Zhenshin with pride, indicating that he had not lied at all. He Zhenshin did not speak, but raised his hand towards Gao Rinhui, motioning him to continue. A trace of anger flashed through Gao Rinhui's heart. This He Zhenshin was really a bit too much, and he still doubted himself like this. If he became a celebrity in front of Zhao Changling in the future, he would definitely teach this He Zhenshin a lesson. Mr. Gao, what can I do for you? Yao Shan's voice came. Gao Rinhui quickly gathered his mind and said with a smile, Mr. Yao, I want to ask, when are we going to sign the contract? Gao Minimum and others all had a hint of pride in their eyes. This is a business with the Yao family in the provincial capital. However, Yao Shan's voice made them feel cold. Sign a contract? What contract? Everyone's eyes immediately turned to Gao Rinhui. Gao Rinhui was stunned, and he quickly spoke. Mr. Yao, you may be a forgetful person. The last time I went to the provincial capital, I discussed the Bincheng Entertainment City Food Center project with you. You said that you could sign a contract with me. Gao Rinhui was a little flustered. He was really afraid that something would happen. However, Yao Shan's words made him completely desperate. I can sign with you, but it doesn't mean I must sign with you. Mr. Gao has been in the business world for so many years, he can't not understand this principle. Yao Shan said lightly. Hearing this, Gao Rinhuo's back was cold. Gao Minimum, Hao Xiankang and other large and small shareholders were also panicked. One by one, they looked at Gao Rinhuo with wide eyes. Gao Rinhuo had the food center project in his hands to ensure that they would not be worse off than before after withdrawing from Zhao's catering. But if there was no such project, who would challenge Zhou Wanqiu and Zhao Pingjiang, and who would follow them to rebel? As a result, now their biggest reliance has encountered an accident. This is a trap for them. Everyone glared at them. Gao Rinhuo's heart was beating fast, and he quickly said to Yao Shan, "Mr. Yao, this is not a joke. Who is kidding you?" Yao Shan said lightly, "The food center project has been signed to Zhou Wanqiu of Zhao's catering group, and the contract has been signed." Gao Rinhuo was cold all over and completely desperate. The eyes of the shareholders around him were already eager to eat him. He Zhenshan on the side sneered, "I knew it a long time ago, and you idiot is still in the dark. With your IQ and your intelligence ability, you deserve to be kicked out by the Zhao family father and daughter." Gao Rinhuo was in a state of confusion, struggling to death. "Boss Yao, please think twice. Now, Zhao Changling, the richest man in Bincheng, is banning Zhao's catering, and Zhao's group is in danger. At this time, you can tear up the contract and stand on the side of the Zhao family. Let's take advantage of this great opportunity to make a fortune from the Zhao family together. Moreover, you can reach a cooperation with the richest man in Bincheng, the Zhao family, in the future. This way, you can earn much more than if you continue to cooperate with the Zhao family." Gao Rinhuo kept persuading. Now, he can only do his best to persuade Yao Shan. On the side, other shareholders and He Zhenshan also looked forward to it. If Yao Shan is really tempted, Gao Rinhuo can also make up for his mistakes and do a great job. However, Yao Shan said lightly, "If you don't remind me, I don't know that my Yao family's partners are being bullied by the Zhao family. In this matter, my Yao family has to say something for them. I will issue a statement to support the Zhao family." Gao Rinhuo, "Thank you for reminding me." After speaking, Yao Shan hung up the phone. Beep beep beep. The call ended. Gao Rinhuo was staring at his phone, dumbfounded. The other shareholders, big and small, were also confused. This time, not only did they not help, but they seemed to have caused trouble for the Zhao family. He Zhenshan stared at Gao Rinhuo, his face gloomy to the extreme. "Mr. He, Gao Rinhuo was in a panic, but he didn't know how to explain. At this time, He Zhenshan didn't have time to pay attention to him at all, but opened his phone to search. Sure enough, a message released by the Yao family in the provincial capital soon appeared in the Bincheng business circle. The Bincheng Zhao family is a business partner of the Yao family. The Bincheng Zhao family's ban on the Zhao family seriously violates the rules of commercial competition. As a partner of the Zhao family, the Yao family is willing to boycott the Zhao family and its partners together with the Zhao family. From the time this statement is announced, the Yao family will ban the Zhao family and its partners throughout the province until the Zhao family gives up the ban on the Zhao family and publicly apologizes. After reading this news, everyone's brains were buzzing. The Yao family in the provincial capital really entered the scene. And they stood on the side of Zhao's catering. This battle in Bincheng's business community is probably about to end. He Zhenshan raised his head, his eyes full of bloodshot, staring at Gao Rinhuo. This bastard said he brought foreign aid, but he brought it to the Zhao family. Gao Rinhuo, you're dead. Look at what you bastard has done. Mr. Zhao will definitely kill you. He Zhenshan roared. Gao Rinhuo was almost crying in anxiety. He didn't want this to happen. Gao Minimum, Hao Xiankang and others quietly distanced themselves from Gao Rinhuo. Gao Rinhuo trembled all over and said in a trembling voice, "Mr. He, this is really not my fault. Please, help me say a good word in front of Mr. Zhao. Get out." He Zhenshan didn't want to see him again at all. He had to quickly inform Zhao Shiji. Seeing He Zhenshan's murderous eyes, Gao Rinhuo quickly led his people away. Chapter 90, really good at bragging. Gao Rinhuo and others walked out of the door in despair. They were in high spirits when they came, but now they were sad and confused. Hao Xiankang, Zhang Zhangcheng and other shareholders, big and small, all avoided Gao Rinhui, but their eyes looking at him were full of disgust and hatred. It was this bastard who gave them hope, and now he messed up everything. Now, Gao Rinhui has brought the Yao family in the provincial capital to support the Zhao family. It is estimated that Zhao Changling will kill him. It is better to stay away from him now, so as not to be implicated by this guy. Everyone quickly dispersed. Even Gao Minimum did not say hello to Gao Rinhui, but quietly followed everyone away. Woo woo. Gao Rinhui, who was alone, could no longer hold back and tears fell. He was so wronged. Until now, he couldn't figure it out. He had obviously discussed everything with Yao Shan a long time ago, so why is it different now? But he didn't know that Su Chen had already taken down Yao Shan's father Yao Zhenfeng. Provincial capital, Yao family villa. Yao Shan, who was missed by Gao Rinhui, was with his father and daughter at this time. Yao Shan put down the phone and turned to look at Yao Zhenfeng and Yao Nana. Dad, is this Su Chen really worth our investment? Yao Zhenfeng smiled confidently. When have I ever missed your father's vision? Yao Nana also said, Dad, don't worry. That Su Chen is definitely not an ordinary person. Hearing the praise from his daughter and father, Yao Shan showed a hint of expectation on his face. What is so magical about this Su Chen? Su Chen, who made Yao Shan very curious, was in the secretariat office at this time, enduring the noise bombardment of Zhang Yu and others. At first, Zhang Yu and others were relatively quiet, or rather, they were quite panicked. After all, facing the ban of the Zhao family, the richest man in Bincheng, although Zhao's catering declared war in reverse, it seemed to be struggling to death. But this quiet scene began to be broken after Qin Wentian, Li Xiaolei and others issued a statement. Oh my god. Qin Wentian, the president of Cheyenne Hao Group, announced that he has formed an alliance with Zhao's catering to bang the Zhao family together. Oh my god, we have reinforcement. Thank god. Look. It's not just Qin Wentian. There are also many companies in Bincheng Chamber of Commerce, Yuancheng Machinery, Chengxi Grain Industry, Xianfang Construction. Ah. We are saved. Li Xiaolei, the former richest man in Bincheng, also issued a statement, and also formed an alliance with Zhao's to bang the Zhao family together. Oh my god. Damn it. The Zhao family is still arrogant. It's so cool. Until the end, the Yao family issued a statement. Oh my god. The Yao family in the provincial capital actually participated in our internal business war in Bincheng and supported Zhao's catering. The Zhao family is finished. Oh my god. Ah. The entire secretariat office was filled with screams from Zhang Yu, Su Jiao and others. At this moment, Su Chen felt that his head was about to explode. He really wanted to ask, is it that serious? Ding ding ding. Fortunately, Su Chen's cell phone rang at this time, and he hurried out of the office. His ears were finally quiet. He answered the phone. Yao Zhenfeng's hearty laughter came from the other side. Zhou Chen, how did Grandpa Yao grasp the opportunity? Do you feel like a god? Are you very grateful to Grandpa Yao? Listening to Yao Zhenfeng, who took advantage of him, as soon as he opened his mouth, Su Chen rolled his eyes in his heart. If you hadn't stopped me last time, I would have killed Zhao Changling long ago, so why would I have to go through so much trouble? Su Chen deliberately said with disdain. Sure enough, Yao Zhenfeng was choked and smiled bitterly. He wanted to take credit for it, but he was rebuked. Then, he heard Su Chen say again, okay, Grandpa Yao, thank you, I'll treat you to dinner later. After that, Su Chen hung up the phone directly. Yao Zhenfeng laughed. Although this little guy didn't want to let himself take advantage, he was still very sensible. Su Chen held the phone with a smile on his face. Although Yao Zhenfeng always wanted to take advantage of me verbally, he was still very good to me. To offend the richest man in a city, even if it was a big family in the provincial capital, it would take repeated considerations. However, the Yao family did it directly, and Su Chen remembered their favor. Su Chen returned to the secretariat office, and Zhang Yu hurried over. Brother Chen, whose phone is it? The old patriarch of the Yao family in the provincial capital, Yao Zhenfeng. Let me know after he issues a statement. Su Chen said. On the side, Liu Pan gave Su Chen a thumbs up and said, "Brother Chen, if I had your ability to brag without blushing, I would have picked up a lot of girls long ago." Ha ha ha. Everyone laughed. Su Chen also smiled and didn't explain. On the other side, a few minutes ago, Zhou Shiji also arrived at Zhou Changling's residence and reported the situation to Zhou Changling. In the luxurious villa hall, Zhou Shiji stood respectfully on one side, without any arrogance in front of He Zhenshan. Dad, now Qin Wentian, Bincheng Chamber of Commerce and Li Xiaolei have announced that they will form an alliance with the Zhao family to ban our Zhao family, unless our Zhao family publicly apologizes and admits their mistakes. Otherwise, they will fight us to the end. Zhou Shiji said angrily in a low voice. Let me, Zhou Changling, apologize. Do they deserve it? Zhou Changling's face was cold. Zhou Shiji hesitated and said, "Dad, with the support of that old bastard Li Xiaolei, their power is not much weaker than ours. If they really want to fight hard, I'm afraid our family will also suffer heavy losses." Zhou Changling's face was gloomy. He picked up the phone and said, "I'll call Li Xiaolei now and ask this old guy to withdraw." Beep. Soon, the phone was connected. Zhou Changling didn't waste any words and went straight to the point. "Mr. Li, I'm Zhou Changling. Does your Li family want to fight with my Zhou family?" Li Xiaolei said in a neutral voice. "It depends on what Mr. Zhou wants. If you don't apologize publicly and continue to bully others, then this old man can only wrestle with you." A hint of ferocity flashed in Zhou Changling's eyes. "Mr. Li, have you thought it through? Can you really afford the price of this failure? If things go wrong, there will be no Li family in Bincheng in the future." Zhou Changling threatened faintly. Li Xiaolei's voice turned cold. "Zhou Changling, you can try it. Okay. Then we'll wait and see." The two parted unhappily. Bang. Zhou Changling threw his phone directly to the ground and broke it into pieces. "This old man. I should have killed him directly back then." Zhou Changling, his face was full of cruelty and anger. On the side, Zhou Shiji asked cautiously, "Dad, what should we do now?" Zhou Changling's eyes showed a hint of viciousness. "Didn't the Li family want to play with me? Then I will play with them. At worst, we will all fight for our family fortunes and see who can't stand it first." Zhou Changling came to Bincheng from other places and became the richest man. He has a ruthlessness far beyond that of ordinary people. When they can't hold on anymore, I will eat them one by one. At that time, the Bincheng business community will be the back garden of my Zhao family. Zhou Changling's eyes showed a trace of brutal excitement. Zhou Shiji was also excited. Ding-ling-ling. At this time, Zhou Shiji's mobile phone rang. After answering, He Zhenshan's terrified voice came. "Mr. Zhao, it's not good. The Yao family in the provincial capital announced that they would join the Zhao family to ban the Zhao family." In an instant, Zhou Shiji was stunned. Chapter 91. Who are you talking to on the phone? Zhou Shiji was stunned. Bang. His phone fell to the ground, and he didn't come back to his senses. Zhou Changling, who was standing by, also noticed something was wrong. He asked, "What's wrong?" Zhou Shiji's face looked like he was about to cry. "Dad, the Yao family in the provincial capital has intervened, saying they will support the Zhao family in banning us." In an instant, Zhou Changling's face changed. He quickly took out his phone and checked. Soon, he raised his head, his face full of anger and ferocity. Why did the Yao family in the provincial capital get involved? Damn. Zhou Changling cursed. Many industries under the Zhao family have developed to their peak in Bincheng and have begun to spread to the provincial capital. If the Yao family in the provincial capital sniped these industries, the Zhao family would inevitably suffer heavy losses and even be seriously injured. It's not just the Zhao family. Many of the partners who are now banning the Zhao family with the Zhao family are also the same. Once the ban order from the Yao family in the provincial capital is issued, even if the Zhao family insists on continuing to ban the Zhao family, the Zhao family's partners will withdraw. In this way, the Zhao family will become the lone army in the entire Bincheng business circle. Fuck. Zhou Changling cursed again. He couldn't figure out why the Zhao family, a mere family, would attract the Yao family from the provincial capital and even support them so clearly. "Dad, what should we do now? Should we continue to ban the Zhao family?" Zhao Shiji looked frustrated. He also understood that this time the Yao family had hit the weak spot between the Zhao family and its partners. If the war with the Zhao family continued, the Zhao family would definitely suffer heavy losses and might even be deserted by everyone. Publicly apologize. Stop banning the Zhao family. Zhao Changling gritted his teeth and said. Zhao Shiji was stunned. He was a little surprised by Zhao Changling's decision. Seeing his son's hesitation, Zhao Changling said angrily, "What are you still hesitating about? Fight to the end, and you still have to apologize in the end. Moreover, that will only make you more embarrassed." "But, Dad, you are the richest man in Bincheng. Wouldn't it be too?" Zhao Shiji didn't say anything else, but the meaning was very clear. Humph. Zhao Changling snorted coldly. "How do you think I became the richest man in Bincheng? A real man can bend and stretch. If this way doesn't work, try another way. I have plenty of ways to deal with the small Zhao family. Are you afraid that they will rebel?" Zhao Changling said with narrowed eyes. "Yeah." Zhao Shiji nodded repeatedly. The father and son discussed it again and then separated. Soon, the richest man in Bincheng, the Zhao family, released a message. Zhao Shiji of the Zhao family is young and hot-tempered, and he acts recklessly. He arbitrarily banned his business peers without the approval of the family and the group, disrupting the business order of Bincheng. Zhao Shiji's actions are all personal actions, and have nothing to do with the Zhao family. After investigation, Mr. Zhao Changling has severely reprimanded Zhao Shiji, cancelled all his bans, and apologized to the public and the Zhao family for the harm and bad influence he caused. The Zhao family of Bincheng has always abided by the law and has been committed to maintaining a good business environment in Bincheng for a long time. From now on, we hope to resolve misunderstandings with all colleagues, work together, and build a more beautiful Bincheng together. A short message, full of enthusiasm. It is obvious that Zhao Changling deliberately pushed his son out to take the blame and said that this matter was Zhao Shiji's own behavior. In this way, the prestige of the Zhao family can be minimized. As for Zhao Shiji's face, there is no way. After all, compared with the face of the Zhao family and Zhao Changling, he seems insignificant. Besides, when the ban on the Zhao family was announced, it was Zhao Shiji who personally convened the press conference. He couldn't get rid of the blame, even if he wanted to. Soon, the Zhao family's statement quickly spread on the internet. Netizens in Bincheng were discussing it. Damn. Is it over? I wanted to continue watching the fun. It turned out that Zhao Shiji was so stubborn. I thought the two families were really going to fight. The person above, you really believe the Zhao family's rhetoric? This is clearly the end of the Yao family in the provincial capital. The Zhao family couldn't hold it back and pushed Zhao Shiji out to take the blame. Who cares? There's no fun to watch anyway. However, I guess the Zhao family and the Zhao family have a grudge, and they may cause trouble in the future. Netizens were discussing it. But no matter what, this matter is temporarily declared over. Zhao's catering group. In the conference room. Ha ha ha. Zhao Changling apologized. Zhao's father and daughter Qin Wentian, Li Xiaolei and others all laughed. Just now, Zhao Changling called Li Xiaolei arrogantly and threatened him. As a result, within a few minutes, the Yao family in the provincial capital released a message of support. Then, the Zhao family quickly gave in and apologized. Mr. Zhao, I really didn't know that the Zhao family and the Yao family in the provincial capital had such a close cooperation. It's okay for an old guy like me not to come, Li Xiaolei said with a smile. Zhou Wanqiu hurriedly said, Mr. Li, please don't say that. If it weren't for you, Mr. Li, and the seniors of Bincheng Chamber of Commerce, Zhao Changling would not have given up so easily. A smile suddenly appeared on everyone's face, and there was also a hint of appreciation in their eyes when they looked at Zhou Wanqiu. Don't be arrogant when you win, and don't be discouraged when you lose. Even now that they have the Yao family in the provincial capital as a backer, they still take them seriously. This Zhao family may really go to a higher level in the future. After the matter was settled, everyone agreed to celebrate together in the evening, and then said goodbye. Before leaving, Zhou Wanqiu asked Li Xiaolei, Mr. Li, can I ask why you risked offending the Zhao family to help our Zhao family this time? Zhao Pingjiang also looked at Li Xiaolei. In fact, He had been holding this question in his mind for a long time. Li Xiaolei raised his lips. Isn't it normal for me, the former richest man, to dislike the current richest man? Ha ha ha. After laughing for a while, Li Xiaolei got in the car and left. Zhao Pingjiang and Zhou Wanqiu felt strange, but they could only choose to believe it. After sending Li Xiaolei away, the father and daughter sent Qin Wentian and others away, and asked the same question. Qin Wentian smiled mysteriously and said, "You are the partners of my Cheyenne Heo Group's new factory. Isn't it normal for me to help you?" Soon, Qin Wentian also left with the people from Bincheng Chamber of Commerce. Zhou Wanqiu and Zhao Pingjiang looked at each other. Both of them were puzzled. "Dad, do you think the reasons given by Mr. Qin and Mr. Li are credible?" Zhou Wanqiu frowned slightly. Zhao Pingjiang smiled bitterly. "Besides believing them, can we think of other reasons? Besides, the Yao family in the provincial capital came out to help us. This makes me even more confused." Zhou Wanqiu nodded. Although Yao Zhenfeng treated her very well when signing the contract with her that day, but it seems unreasonable to make enemies with the richest man in Bincheng for her. "Dad, I always feel that someone is helping us behind the scenes," Zhou Wanqiu suspected. Zhao Pingjiang said, "Don't think about it. Who among our Zhao family's connections can invite Mr. Li? Who can make the Yao family in the provincial capital end? It is likely that Zhao Changling offends too many people." Zhou Wanqiu nodded. "At present, it seems that only this reason is reasonable. As for Su Chen, who really helped the Zhao family, she didn't think of it at all." At this time, the corridor outside the secretariat office, Su Chen talked to Qin Wentian and Li Xiaolei separately and expressed his gratitude to the two. "If you need anything in the future, you can find me. Goodbye." Su Chen thanked and hung up the phone. At this moment, a female voice sounded from behind him. "Who are you talking to on the phone?" Su Chen was startled and turned his head. Zhou Wanqiu walked over slowly, staring at Su Chen. Chapter 92 Su Chen is my husband. Zhou Wanqiu was in a good mood after resolving the ban crisis of the Zhao family in Bincheng. However, when she saw Su Chen sneaking in the corridor to make a phone call, she immediately frowned. Su Chen turned around and saw Zhou Wanqiu, a little surprised. Shouldn't Zhou Wanqiu be celebrating at this time? Why did she suddenly come to find him? Seeing Su Chen in a daze, Zhou Wanqiu frowned slightly. "I'm asking you a question. Who are you calling?" Su Chen hesitated slightly. He was considering whether to tell the truth. At this time, Zhou Wanqiu seemed to realize something, and his face turned cold. "Did you call your mistress during work?" Zhou Wanqiu scolded loudly. "Do you know how much risk the company has just experienced? You still have the mood to make love here?" Su Chen was confused. Who the hell called the mistress? Where the hell can I get a mistress? Looking at Su Chen's stunned expression, Zhou Wanqiu felt that she had guessed right. In her heart, the gratitude that originally came from Su Chen's suggestion of declaring war on the Zhao family disappeared in an instant. Zhou Wanqiu said impatiently, "I'm here to tell you that there will be a celebration banquet with the Kim family, Bincheng Chamber of Commerce, and Li family tonight. As a hero who made suggestions in the group, you have to go and participate." After that, Zhou Wanqiu didn't look at Su Chen again and turned away angrily. Su Chen looked at Zhou Wanqiu's leaving figure and felt very upset. He seemed to have been misunderstood again. However, Su Chen was used to it anyway. He would just stay with Zhou Wanqiu for a year and then run away after a year, and he didn't have to worry about any misunderstandings. Shaking his head, Su Chen returned to the secretariat office. Zhang Yu, Liu Pan and others seemed to be tired of shouting and finally quieted down. At this time, several people were holding their mobile phones, searching for gossip about the business war between the Zhao family and the Zhao family on the internet, and then writing some inside information in the comments area to show their presence. It was time to get off work. Su Chen received a message from Zhou Wanqiu, asking him to wait in a corner with few people downstairs of the group. After that, she got in her Porsche Cayenne and went to the celebration banquet hotel. This time, it was not just the CEOs of the major groups who attended the celebration banquet. In addition to them, there were also middle and senior management personnel from their respective companies. After all, they also made suggestions, and were also nervous about declaring war on the Zhou family. Because there were so many people, Zhou Wanqiu directly booked a hall in the hotel, and opened many tables. After Su Chen and Zhou Wanqiu parked their cars in the hotel garage, they still went upstairs separately. Soon, Su Chen arrived. There were already people coming and going in the hall. Many middle and senior leaders and heads of various departments of the Zhou group came. Among them, there were a few people Su Chen knew. For example, Li Fengjiao, the manager of the Human Resources Department, and others. Many people from groups such as the Qin family Xian Heo group and the Li family also came. These people are the elites of Bincheng's business community. They are like fish in water in such occasions, holding up their glasses and socializing everywhere. Occasionally, some people come over and say hello to Su Chen, wanting to get to know him. However, after seeing that Su Chen was not very interested, they all left tactfully. Su Chen was happy to be quiet. He found a secluded corner, got some food, and entertained himself. Suddenly, a laugh rang out. Zhou Chen, you are hiding here for peace and quiet? We have been looking for you for a long time. Su Chen turned his head. He saw Qin Wentian and Li Xiaolei looking at him with a smile. Su Chen quickly stood up and said politely, Mr. Li, Uncle Qin, you are here. Thank you for this matter. Qin Wentian smiled and said, you are so polite, isn't it a bit awkward? Li Xiaolei also smiled and agreed, yes. Even if we are not here, you still have the trump card of the Yao family in the provincial capital. That's different. Su Chen shook his head and said seriously, I will remember your favor. Qin Wentian chuckled and said nothing. Li Xiaolei's face was full of smiles. Su Chen and the Li family were not happy at the beginning. Although Li Wandao helped to solve the hygiene crisis of Zhao's catering last time and obtained Su Chen's understanding, but Li Xiaolei was not completely relieved in his heart. After all, when Li Wandao took action against Tan Saicheng and Wu Yehe, it was because the two had violated the rules first. According to the regulations, Li Wandao should have dealt with them, and helping Su Chen could only be considered a favor. But this time, the Li family declared war on the Zhou family with real guns and bullets. Seeing Su Chen's attitude now, Li Xiaolei was finally completely relieved. Qin Wentian and Li Xiaolei chatted with Su Chen for a while, and then quickly said goodbye and left. The two of them, one is the president of Bincheng Chamber of Commerce, and the other is the former richest man in Bincheng. Their status is quite noble, and they are the focus wherever they go. Not long after they stood beside Su Chen, many people secretly looked over. Both of them also knew that Su Chen did not like to be in the limelight, so they quickly said goodbye. After chatting for a few words, Su Chen was quiet again. But not long after, a female voice sounded beside Su Chen. Su Chen, why are you here? To attend the celebration banquet? Su Chen turned his head and looked at the person who came. It was none other than Li Fengjiao, the manager of the Human Resources Department of Zhao's catering. Why can't I come? Su Chen asked back. Boss Zhao said that I was the one who proposed to bang the Zhao family and praised me as a hero. Since I'm a hero, of course I have to come to the celebration banquet. Su Chen looked at Li Fengjiao with a half smile. This woman, probably influenced by Zhou Wanqiu, has always disliked him. When Gao Rinhui and Gao Minimum were still in Zhao's catering, she always disliked Su Chen for causing trouble for Zhou Wanqiu. Even though she was slapped in the face by Su Chen again and again, she still did not change her prejudice against her. So, Su Chen didn't mind irritating her a little. Hearing this answer, Li Fengjiao was stunned. Indeed, in the entire Zhao's catering group, Su Chen, who proposed the declaration of war, is really the biggest hero. Manager Li, why are you also at the celebration banquet? Su Chen asked deliberately. Li Fengjiao was stunned, with a somewhat embarrassed expression. In the end, she had to pretend not to hear and change the subject. I just saw Li Xiaolei and Qin Wentian come over and chat with you. Do you know them? Li Fengjiao asked. Su Chen smiled. He was still wondering why Li Fengjiao, who had always looked down on him, suddenly came over to chat. It turned out that she had seen the scene just now. Su Chen smiled and explained. In fact, Director Qin and Mr. Li were both invited by me to help the Zhao family. They just came over to say hello to me. Li Fengjiao rolled her eyes suddenly and said disdainfully, Su Chen, do you think I'm a fool? You have only been out of the village for a few days, and you can still invite Director Qin and Mr. Li. Su Chen curled his lips. I'm telling the truth, believe it or not. Li Fengjiao pouted and said sarcastically, just brag. Then you might as well say that you are Qin Wentian's son-in-law, and he helps the Zhao family to help you, the son-in-law, so it's more credible. As soon as she finished speaking, a clear and beautiful voice rang out. Miss, how do you know that Su Chen is my husband? Li Fengjiao was stunned and turned around quickly. I saw a young and beautiful woman walking over. She was wearing a neat little suit with a white lining on her upper body and a standard short skirt with flesh-colored stockings underneath. The straight long legs in the stockings, the little bunny jumping in front of her, and the beautiful face were very tempting. It was none other than Qin Wentian's beloved daughter, the fairy Qin Yao. Husband. Qin Yao called sweetly, then stepped forward and hugged Su Chen's arm. Li Fengjiao was stunned. Chapter 93 I like Su Chen. Qin Yao held Su Chen's arm and looked at Li Fengjiao with a smile. Su Chen was stunned. A strange feeling came from his arm. He instinctively wanted to pull his arm out, but was hugged tightly by Qin Yao. He knew Qin Yao's temper, so he could only smile helplessly and let her do whatever she wanted. But Li Fengjiao was shocked by the scene in front of her. Countless question marks floated through her mind. Didn't Mr. Zhao say that Su Chen just came out of the village? How could he be Qin Yao's husband? Qin Yao and him are so close, it doesn't seem fake. But what does Qin Yao like about him? Looking at the stunned Li Fengjiao, Qin Yao smiled and asked, Miss, are you still going to be a light bulb for us here? Oh. Li Fengjiao reacted and apologized quickly. That. Su Chen, Miss Qin, I'm sorry, you are busy. I have something to leave first. After that, Li Fengjiao fled. As she left, she looked back at Su Chen and the others from time to time. Qin Yao deliberately waved at her, and Li Fengjiao turned her head back in fear. Ha ha ha. Seeing this scene, Qin Yao laughed. Su Chen pulled his arm out and distanced himself from Qin Yao. He said speechlessly, you are so boring. Qin Yao looked proud, who told her not to believe in my benefactor. Su Chen smiled helplessly and did not continue the topic. He asked, by the way, why did you come to the celebration banquet? Qin Yao pouted, I heard that you are here, so I came to see you. How is it? Are you touched? While speaking, Qin Yao deliberately leaned towards Su Chen. Miss, you should keep a distance from me. There are so many people here, and who knows how many people will regard me as a love rival. Su Chen quickly took another step back and took a sip of water from the cup. He said that he was afraid of others misunderstanding, but in fact he was worried that Zhou Wanqiu would see it. That woman had many misunderstandings about him. If he saw Qin Yao being sweet with him again, he would probably cause trouble. However, Qin Yao didn't care about that. She said carelessly, let them talk. At worst, we can go get married and get a marriage certificate to shut them up. Puff. Su Chen almost spit out the water he had just drunk. Marriage? What a mess. Su Chen looked puzzled. Qin Yao laughed heartlessly. Suddenly, Qin Yao pursed her lips again. My benefactor, can you help me see if I'm sick? Su Chen looked at Qin Yao, not knowing what this goblin was going to do. You look good, you don't seem to be sick. Su Chen said. No. Qin Yao shook her head. My benefactor, I think you're wrong. I feel like there's something wrong with my heart. If you don't believe me, you can touch it. As she spoke, Qin Yao took a step forward with her proud figure. Su Chen was startled and quickly pulled Qin Yao to sit on the chair. Stop fooling around. Su Chen looked around, feeling a little guilty. Good guy. If Zhou Wanqiu saw this, she would explode on the spot. My benefactor, I really feel that my heart is sick. It has been sour all the time. Ever since I heard that you invited my father, Mr. Li and other business tycoons to help Zhou Wanqiu deal with the Zhao family, the richest family in Bincheng, and even move to the Yao family in the provincial capital, I felt sour in my heart. Do you think this is a disease? You have done so much for her. I'm so pitiful, and no one helps me like this. Qin Yao pretended to be about to cry. Su Chen looked helpless. Qin Yao continued, my benefactor, look at you. You have saved Zhou Wanqiu 4 or 5 times in total, and I have only done it once. You have to treat everyone equally, and you can't favor her alone. Hearing this, Su Chen was very upset. Goddamn, treat everyone equally. If you encounter such a thing, I will definitely help you too. Su Chen said hurriedly. Qin Yao said pitifully, it's the same thing again. I've heard it several times. Su Chen laughed dumbly. He couldn't be blamed for this. Qin Wanqiu doted on Qin Yao very much, and Qin Yao didn't care about the family business. In this way, she naturally wouldn't encounter any troubles, and Su Chen wouldn't have the chance to help, even if he wanted to. Fortunately, Qin Yao was just acting coquettishly, and didn't dwell on this matter. The two quickly shifted the topic to other things. At this time, in the center of the hall, Li Fengjiao found Zhou Wanqiu. Mr. Zhao, I want to ask you something. Zhou Wanqiu was a little confused. What is it? It's not a big deal. It's that Su Chen. Is he married? Li Fengjiao asked cautiously. Zhou Wanqiu panicked and almost dropped the wine glass in her hand. In an instant, countless thoughts floated through her mind. Why did Li Fengjiao suddenly ask this question? Did Su Chen spread the news of his marriage to me? This bastard. What should I do now? Should I admit it or deny it? Zhou Wanqiu was in a mess. Before she could think of how to answer, Li Fengjiao continued, I heard from Qin Yao that Su Chen is her husband, and I saw that they are quite close. I'm a little curious, so I came to ask you. Zhou Wanqiu breathed a sigh of relief when she heard this. However, her face turned cold immediately afterwards. When did it happen? Where? Li Fengjiao was slightly startled and explained, just now. Su Chen and Qin Yao, they are still in that corner now. I know. Zhou Wanqiu left a word and walked quickly to the corner of the hall with a dark face. Hey. Li Fengjiao stretched out her hand, then put it down, and she muttered softly, Boss Zhao, you haven't answered my question yet. Unfortunately, Zhou Wanqiu could no longer hear her words. Li Fengjiao was a little puzzled. Boss Zhao's mood seemed a little wrong. In the corner, Su Chen and Qin Yao were still chatting happily. Suddenly, dap, 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 the sound of heels hitting the floor sounded. The footsteps were getting closer and closer. Su Chen turned his head and looked, and his whole body suddenly felt cold. The person who came was Zhou Wanqiu, whose face was frosty. How could you meet this? Su Chen felt a little annoyed. He had deliberately found a remote corner, but he didn't expect that Zhou Wanqiu could see this. He didn't know that it was Li Fengjiao's credit that helped him to facilitate this sure showdown. Hello, Mr. Zhao. Su Chen could only bite the bullet and pretend to greet Zhou Wanqiu. However, Zhou Wanqiu ignored him at all, but looked at Qin Yao on the side. Qin Yao saw Zhou Wanqiu. Her face was full of smiles. She laughed, suddenly stepped forward, and intimately took Su Chen's arm. Su Chen was speechless. This Kim fairy really likes to watch the fun, and is not afraid of trouble. Mr. Zhao, what are you doing here? Are you here to find my Su Chen? Qin Yao said with a smile. Hearing the 4 words my Su Chen's mouth twitched. This sister really knows how to make trouble for herself. Sure enough, Zhou Wanqiu glared at Su Chen fiercely. The next second, she smiled gently at Qin Yao and said, I didn't know that Miss Qin had such a good relationship with our Su Chen. Qin Yao smiled sweetly. Yes, I like Su Chen very much. President Zhao won't mind, right? Zhou Wanqiu glanced at Su Chen and laughed dryly. No, no. Our company will not interfere with the private lives of employees. Oh, is that so? Qin Yao smiled and nodded. Then, she suddenly asked, I heard that Su Chen's position in Zhao's catering group is the president's secretary. President Zhao, you don't have any relationship with Su Chen, do you? Hearing this, Zhou Wanqiu looked flustered. Chapter 94, Zhao Li's Flying Dagger. Zhou Wanqiu quickly adjusted her expression. She smiled and said, haha, Miss Qin, you are kidding. Su Chen and I are just ordinary superiors and subordinates. That's great. In the past, I always heard that some presidents and bosses like to have unspoken rules with their secretaries. President Zhao is not that kind of person. That's great. Qin Yao pretended to be scared and kept patting her chest with her little hands. It seemed unintentional, but it was full of waves. This action made Zhou Wanqiu a little angry and a little envious. Su Chen looked at the two of them, frowning. He interrupted and said that President Zhao, Miss Qin likes to joke. She has nothing to do with me. Before Su Chen finished speaking, Zhou Wanqiu interrupted directly. The company will not care about the private lives of employees as long as you don't affect work. Miss Qin, goodbye. After that, Zhou Wanqiu turned around and left. As she walked, she cursed in her heart. Su Chen, this bastard, clearly agreed long ago that no messy scandals outside would be spread to grandpa's ears. But this bastard actually messed around in public and treated his words as farts. And that Qin Yao, isn't she just a little older? What's so great about you? Still filming. Be careful that it explodes one day. Humph. Zhou Wanqiu came over and was very angry. In the corner, Qin Yao laughed loudly, as if she had won a battle. Su Chen was speechless. Is it interesting? Of course it's interesting. Qin Yao laughed. She changed the subject. My benefactor, I feel like this Zhou Wanqiu seems to have a special relationship with you. When she saw me hugging your arm, her eyes were about to spit fire. Do you think she likes you? Su Chen rolled his eyes. Forget it. Even if there were no men in the world, I guess she wouldn't like me. Qin Yao smiled and said, that's because Zhou Wanqiu has no vision. She is not like me. She can see how powerful my benefactor is at a glance. Su Chen smiled and was about to speak. Suddenly, a figure rushed in front of the two. Mr. Su, please, save Mr. Chen. Su Chen was stunned. The person who came was Zhang Biao, a subordinate of Chen Zhangyi. The last time Chen Zhangyi went to the Li family to protect Li Xiaolei, he brought him. He and Chen Zhangyi are the highest fighting force in Zhangyi Hall. However, Zhang Biao's clothes were torn at this time, and there was dirt and blood on his body. It seemed that he had just experienced a big battle. Su Chen asked, what happened? Speak slowly. Zhang Biao said quickly, it was He Zhenshan. That bastard brought a master to Zhangyi Hall to provoke. He killed people under the banner of revenge for He Zhenlong of the Black Dragon Society and seriously injured Boss Chen. Boss Chen covered me and asked me to come to you for help. Su Chen said quickly, we'll go now. The two hurried to go out. Qin Yao said quickly, I drove here. I'll take you there. Zhang Biao's expression tightened, and he said, Miss Qin, the masters brought by He Zhenshan are very terrifying. Before he finished speaking, Qin Yao pointed at Su Chen and said, it's okay. With my benefactor here, it will definitely be okay. Right? As he spoke, Qin Yao looked at Su Chen with pleading eyes. Su Chen nodded helplessly and said, don't worry. It's okay as long as I'm here. The three left quickly. As for the celebration banquet, Su Chen felt that it didn't matter whether he was there or not. Not long after the three left, Zhou Wanqiu walked to this corner again. As a result, she didn't see Su Chen and Qin Yao at all. Zhou Wanqiu asked a nearby staff member and found out that the two had left. Suddenly, Zhou Wanqiu was furious. HMPH. This is a case of dry wood and raging fire. Can't you hold it back? They are really adulterers. She really couldn't think of any reason for these two people to leave without even saying hello, except to have an affair. What kind of magic does this Su Chen have that Qin Yao also fell for him? Zhou Wanqiu was very puzzled. At this time, the adulterers in Zhou Wanqiu's eyes were already outside the Zhangyi base. Zhang Biao advised again, Mr. Su, the masters brought by He Zhenshan are very powerful. I think it's safer for Miss Qin to stay outside. Before Su Chen could speak, Qin Yao hugged Su Chen's arm again and begged pitifully, my benefactor please, let me go with you to have a look. With you protecting me, it will be fine. Su Chen knew Qin Yao's character, so he said to Zhang Biao, it's okay, brother Zhang. I will protect Miss Qin. Looking at Su Chen's confident look, Zhang Biao suddenly thought of the scene when he showed his might in the Li family villa that day, and he felt relieved. I was too careful. Zhang Biao smiled embarrassedly. However, he still took two quick steps and slightly blocked Qin Yao. The three of them walked into the base of Zhangyi Hall. There was blood everywhere. Many people from Zhanggai Hall fell to the ground. Zhang Bao's face was livid. Many of these people were his brothers who had been with him day and night, but now they were all killed. Some of them were still breathing, but they were also seriously injured. Su Chen's face was gloomy. The people brought by He Zenshin were too cruel. The three walked into the hall. Chen Zhanggai was hung in the middle of the hall, covered in blood. He had several wounds on his body, and was still bleeding. And in the hall, there was a middle-aged man with a sinister face, who seemed to be waiting for someone. It was He Zenshin. But the masters brought by He Zenshin were not seen. Su Chen looked at He Zenshin coldly. He Zenshin, I will give you 1 month to hand over the shares of his catering. Now it seems that you are ready to fight to the death. Little beast, don't dream. He Zenshin cursed. His eyes were bloodshot, staring at Su Chen. Little bastard, I just figured it out now. The one who destroyed my brother's Black Dragon Society was not Chen Zhanggai, the waste, but you. The one who killed my son and brother was also a beast. Now you still want me to hand over the shares to the Zhao family. You can eat shit. Su Chen's expression was calm. He Zenshin could guess the truth of the matter. He had expected it. After all, He Zenshin knew about his several moves. In addition, Chen Zhanggai's Zhangai Hall did not have the ability to destroy the Black Dragon Society. A little association can reveal the truth of the matter. However, Su Chen did not understand where He Zenshin's confidence came from. It's me, so what? Su Chen said lightly. I'm very curious now. What gives you the courage to provoke me? Don't worry, I'll give you some time and tell you slowly. As he spoke, Su Chen stepped forward. He jumped into the air and was about to untie Chen Zhanggai, who was hanging in the air. I'll let you know now. He Zenshin grinned. Mr. Li, do it. He shouted. The next moment, whoosh, a cold light shot out from the darkness. The target was Su Chen, who was about to rescue Chen Zhanggai. Mr. Su, be careful. This is Xiaoli Fideo, Li Xiang. Zhang Bao was startled. He looked extremely nervous and quickly pulled Kinyao Iao to retreat to the door of the hall. The masters brought by He Zenshin did not use flying knives when they attacked them before. He never thought that the master was actually the flying knife Li Xiang and the Zhao family's sword, fist, and foot, so he did not remind Su Chen. A bright silver flying knife, glowing with a blue glow, was fast and sharp. A sharp sound of breaking through the air suddenly exploded. It seemed that it would pierce Su Chen in the next moment. He Zenshin showed a smug smile on his face. He had heard a lot about the legend of Li Xiang, the flying knife. Countless powerful masters died under his sneak attack. Even martial arts practitioners who were 2 levels stronger than Li Xiang were careless and fell into his trap and died with hatred. What's more, at this time, Su Chen was in the air and had nowhere to hide. Chapter 95. Kill half of the 4 masters first. The flying knife was fast and sharp. It was like a ray of light piercing through the darkness. In the blink of an eye, it had already shot at Su Chen. The next moment, Su Chen fell to the ground again. Zhang Bao and Kinyao Iao's faces changed drastically, but He Zenshin laughed loudly. Ha ha ha. Su Chen, no matter how powerful you are, you will still be injured by Xiaoli's flying knife. In the darkness, a thin figure walked out. He had a rat-like face and a wretched appearance. No wonder he used the strategy of a flying knife sneak attack. It was the flying knife Li Xiang of the Zhao family's swords, fists, and kicks. He Zenshin bowed to Li Xiang and said, Mr. Li, you are so smart. When Su Chen saved Chen Zhangai, it was really the best opportunity for a sneak attack. Li Xiang smiled proudly. I have killed countless masters with this trick. Killing Su Chen is a waste of talent. At this moment, Su Chen slowly spoke. You too, are you talking too early? He Zenshin was cold and asked Li Xiang, Mr. Li, why is he still okay? Li Xiang sneered. He may have avoided the fatal wound. However, my flying knife is poisonous. As long as he is scratched, he will definitely die. He Zenshin laughed. However, Su Chen smiled faintly and raised his hand gently. Between his index finger and middle finger, there was a flying knife. Li Xiang was stunned for a moment. You were not hit by the knife. He Zenshin's face changed drastically. The next second, Li Xiang turned around and ran away. He is best at sneak attacks. If he misses a hit, the best choice is to escape thousands of miles away and look for other opportunities. Su Chen sneered and flashed. In the blink of an eye, he was close to Li Xiang. Li Xiang looked flustered, but there was a trace of calmness. Go to hell. Li Xiang, who was still running away, suddenly turned around and threw a flying knife directly at Chen Zhangyi, who was hanging in the air. The other flying knife, however, shot straight at Su Chen. This was his killer move, returning horse double knife. Looking for death. Su Chen snorted coldly. He swung his hand and threw the flying knife he had just received directly at Chen Zhangyi. Flying knife meets flying knife again. Su Chen's flying knife was actually launched later but arrived first. Clang. Li Xiang's flying knife was directly knocked away, and the other flying knife shot at Su Chen was caught by him again and confiscated directly. Li Xiang was terrified. He had already seen clearly that Su Chen's ability to conceal weapons was even more terrifying than his. Let me go. I will never trouble you again. Li Xiang ran away while begging for mercy. However, what responded to him was Su Chen's flying knife. Swish. The knife flashed like a shadow. There was no piercing sound of breaking through the air, no dazzling light, only a dark shadow like the sickle of the god of death. Puff. The sound of the flying knife entering the flesh was heard. Li Xiang's face was full of shock and regret. He had heard this voice countless times, but he never thought that he would hear it on himself. Mr. Zhao will avenge me. Li Xiang left a word and fell to the ground and died. All this happened in a flash. He Zhenshin was confused. In the blink of an eye, his support had fallen. Su Chen didn't pay any attention to him at all, but put Chen Zhangyi down first and checked him. Fortunately, he was just fainting, and he didn't suffer any serious injuries. Su Chen gave a simple treatment and handed Chen Zhangyi to Zhang Biao. He himself looked at He Zhenshin. At this time, He Zhenshin's legs were trembling, and his whole body was shaking. He didn't expect that a sneak attack master like Li Xiang, the flying knife, would die like this. Mr. He, it seems that the 30 days I gave you are too long. So long that you dare to find someone to deal with me? Su Chen walked in front of He Zhenshin and said softly. Plop. He Zhenshin knelt on the ground. Bang, bang, bang. He Zhenshin kowtowed fiercely, and in the blink of an eye, his head was bleeding. He begged bitterly, Mr. Su, this is not what I want to do. Zhao Shiji forced me to do it. He wanted to use my name of revenge for his brother to conquer Zhangjiatang. I was forced. Please let me go. He Zhenshin put the blame on Zhao Shiji. Compared with staying alive, offending Zhao Shiji is not a big deal. Su Chen looked at He Zhenshin coldly. Then your shares in his catering. I will pay. I will get all the procedures done within a week. If I don't pay by then, you can just kill me. He Zhenshin promised desperately. Su Chen nodded. He Zhenshin was overjoyed. However, the next second, Su Chen directly slapped He Zhenshin. Bang. He Zhenshin felt something in his body was broken. A fierce burning sensation broke out in his body. Ah. He Zhenshin screamed and rolled on the ground. After a long time, he got up from the ground and looked at Su Chen with a puzzled look. Su Chen said lightly, a week is too long. I will only give you 3 days. Now, the poison in your body has been catalyzed by me. If you don't transfer the He's catering shares to the Zhao family within 3 days, then you will die. Feeling the burning in his body, He Zhenshin was like a bereaved mother. But he lowered his head and dared not say anything else. This time, he brought Li Xiang to cause trouble, and Su Chen didn't kill him, which was lucky for him. He waved his hand and told He Zhenshin to get out. He Zhenshin was as if he had been pardoned and quickly slipped away. Chen Zhangyi woke up and thanked Su Chen very much. Then, Su Chen helped treat the other injured. Mr. Su, you shouldn't kill Li Xiang the flying knife. If you do, I'm afraid the Zhao family won't let you go. Chen Zhangyi advised, after finishing his work. Su Chen smiled. The Zhao family and I have had a grudge for a long time, so it doesn't make any difference whether I kill Li Xiang or not. Alas. Chen Zhangyi sighed. You still have to be more careful. The Zhao family has 4 masters of swords, knives, fists and feet, and Li Xiang the flying knife is just one of them. The other 3, Feng Dao the Iron Fist, Huang Rongxiang the Shadowless Kick, and Zhang Wanqiu the Teikai Sword, are all masters among masters. especially Feng Dao the Iron Fist. His master is Yang Wudi the Invincible Fist. At this time, King Yao smiled and said, Uncle Chen, don't worry about Su Chen. 2 of the 4 masters have died at the hands of Su Chen, and the other one is the Iron Fist Feng Dao you mentioned. King Yao immediately described the process of Su Chen killing Feng Dao in vivid detail. Chen Zhangyi and Zhang Bao were stunned. Mr. Su, you shouldn't be so impulsive. Feng Dao's master Yang Wudi is not an ordinary martial arts practitioner at all. Chen Zhangyi was a little anxious. Su Chen said lightly, it doesn't matter, we will fight against the enemy and block the water with earth. I believe in Su Chen. He can definitely destroy the Zhao family's follow-handed and beat Yang Wudi into Yang Yaodi. King Yao said, waving her little fist. Chen Zhangyi looked at Su Chen and King Yao who didn't care and felt helpless. After finishing the work here, King Yao sent Su Chen home. Along the way, King Yao kept praising Su Chen for how powerful he was. Su Chen just smiled. When they were about to get home, Su Chen asked King Yao to put him down in advance to avoid running into Zhou Wanqiu near Zhao's house. After Su Chen returned home, Zhou Rongchang and Zhao Giran were still very enthusiastic. However, Zhou Wanqiu was full of disgust. After going upstairs, Zhou Wanqiu angrily said, go take a shower and wash off the stench and dirt on your body. Su Chen was confused. He smelled himself, and there was no stench at all. Although he had fought with Li Ziyang, he didn't sweat at all. However, Zhou Wanqiu said so, and he had to do it. Just as Su Chen went to take a shower, on the other side, Zhenshin had already knelt in front of Zhao Shiji in fear. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96 Food Poisoning Incident. Dahao Chunjing Hotel. In a very luxurious box, Zhenshin looked nervous and knelt in front of Zhao Shiji. He reported to Zhao Shiji what happened in the Zhanghaitang base. Mr. Zhao, just like that, Li Ziyang, the flying knife, was killed directly by that bastard Su Chen. Zhenshin's face was full of resentment. Bang! Zhao Shiji slapped his palm on the table. This bastard. He killed Feng Dao first and then killed Li Ziyang. This is completely disregarding my Zhao family. Zhao Shiji was furious. Mr. Zhao, now that we have failed to take over Zhanghaitang, what should we do next? Zhenshin asked tremblingly. Humph. Zhao Shiji snorted coldly. Conquering Zhanghaitang is just for convenience. Without Zhanghaitang, can I still do anything? Since Chen Zhangyi doesn't know what's good for him, I will first deal with the Zhao family and then deal with him. As he spoke, Zhao Shiji clapped his hands lightly. Then, a middle-aged man pushed the door open and entered. This man was very tall, with a pair of long legs, very conspicuous. Mr. Zhao, who is this? Zhenshin asked curiously. This is Master Huang Rongxiang from Changqing in the south. He has a pair of shadowless kicks, and he is invincible in Changqing. Zhao Shiji introduced. Zhenshin's face was stern. He understood that Huang Rongxiang was the shadowless kick among the swords, fists, and feet. Although Huang Rongxiang was famous, Zhenshin was still worried. He whispered, Mr. Zhao, although Master Huang has a high level of martial arts skills, Su Chen is not an ordinary person either. Master Feng Dao and Li Ziyang have both been defeated by him. Master Huang, I'm afraid you can't guarantee that you can kill him, right? Humph. Huang Rongxiang snorted coldly and curled his lips. Su Chen's martial arts skills are amazing, but I don't have to fight him head on. Zhao Shiji explained. Haha. Master Huang's unique skills include not only the shadowless kick, but also bone shrinking, disguise, poisoning, etc. Tomorrow, I will arrange for Master Huang to go to the fast food chain of Zhao's catering group to poison. By then, the Zhao family will be ruined. Zhenshin's eyes lit up. For the catering group, health and safety incidents are absolutely the bottom line. If there is a poisoning incident in Zhao's catering group, it will definitely be a big trouble. Great. Mr. Zhao, your trick is really great. He Zenshin praised excitedly. With a master like Master Huang, such a strategy is more effective than fighting Su Chen head on. Huang Rangxiang looked proud. Zhao Shiji also showed a hint of pride on his face. It's just a small Zhao family. I have plenty of ways to deal with it. He Zenshin nodded. However, he thought of something and pleaded. Mr. Zhao, Su Chen, that bastard, catalyzed the poison in my body. He said I can't live for more than 3 days. Please, save me. As he spoke, He Zenshin also looked at Huang Rangxiang. Master Huang, since you can poison, you should also be able to detoxify, right? Please help me. Huang Rangxiang's expression froze, and he said awkwardly, although I'm good at poisoning, I'm weaker at detoxifying. I'm really sorry. He Zenshin looked ugly. Zhao Shiji said carelessly, don't worry. My dad has contacted my uncle, and he is about to come back from the provincial capital. He comes from a famous ancient martial arts family, and there are many Kehuang masters in the family, so don't worry. Hearing this, He Zenshin finally felt relieved. On the other side, Su Chen finished his shower and came out of the bathroom. Zhou Wanqiu looked at him coldly and snorted heavily. Then, he turned his head and looked aside. Su Chen looked puzzled, not knowing how he had offended this lady. However, he did not ask, but went back to his bed obediently. Su Chen was sitting cross-legged practicing. On the side, Zhou Wanqiu's eyes drifted over from time to time. In fact, she really wanted to ask Su Chen what the relationship between him and Qin was, but she didn't know how to start. Ahem. Zhou Wanqiu cleared her throat, but Su Chen ignored her at all. Zhou Wanqiu gritted her teeth, frowned, and said coldly, Su Chen, what do you mean? Su Chen was stunned and asked in confusion, what's wrong with me? What's wrong? Zhou Wanqiu stared. Didn't we agree on this? Not to interfere with each other's emotional lives, but we must keep a low profile and not let any rumors spread, lest they reach grandpa's ears. But what about you? You and Qin were fooling around openly at the celebration banquet. Are you afraid that too few people know about your affair? Zhou Wanqiu looked angry. Su Chen explained, you may have misunderstood. Qin and I are not in that kind of relationship. Haha. Zhou Wanqiu sneered. Whether it is that kind of relationship or not, you know it in your heart. If you mess around all day, be careful to get a heart disease one day. Humph. After saying that, Zhou Wanqiu turned off the light and huddled in the quilt, as if he didn't want to hear another word from Su Chen. Su Chen was speechless. What the hell, messing around all day? He is still a pure little virgin. Who is he messing around with? He just said these words in his heart and didn't say them at all, for fear that any words would irritate Zhou Wanqiu again. The next day, after getting up, Zhou Wanqiu still ignored Su Chen. However, Su Chen had long been used to it. The two pretended to be nothing, finished breakfast under the eyes of Zhao Rangchang and Zhao Giring, and drove to the company. No words along the way. Ding-ling-ling. After Su Chen arrived at the office, he received a call. Seeing the caller ID on his mobile phone, Su Chen was a little surprised. It turned out to be the owner of Dahao Chunjing Hotel, Liu Jinghao. The last time he had dinner with Yao Zhenfeng, Liu Jinghao took the initiative to add his contact information. Su Chen couldn't figure out why he suddenly contacted him. The call was connected. Excuse me, is this Mr. Su? Liu Jinghao was very polite. It's me, boss Liu. What can I do for you? Su Chen asked. Liu Jinghao quickly said, Mr. Su, this is it. Last night, the waiter in our store had a piece of news and reported it to me this morning. I think it seems necessary to tell you. What news? Su Chen was a little curious. It's the news from the Zhao family. Liu Jinghao said, this time, Zhao Shiji is going to send someone to attack the Zhao fast food chain. I hope Mr. Su will be more cautious. Zhao fast food chain? Su Chen frowned and asked, can you be more specific? Liu Jinghao said, the waiter just heard a few words when he went to serve the dishes. According to him, Zhao Shiji wanted people to poison the food to cause a public incident. Mr. Liu, thank you for the news. Su Chen thanked him, hung up the phone quickly, and rushed to the president's office. In the field of food and catering, health and safety incidents are the most difficult. Even the largest catering groups may be defeated by a small health and safety incident. He must inform Zhou Wanqiu of this news as soon as possible. Su Chen hurried. However, when he walked to the president's office, Zhou Wanqiu rushed out. At this time, her face was gloomy. It seemed that something bad had happened. "Boss Zhou, what's wrong?" Su Chen asked hurriedly. Zhou Wanqiu was a little surprised to see Su Chen, but she was not in the mood to ask why Su Chen came here. She explained directly, something happened to Zhao's fast food chain. There was a food poisoning incident at the Chunjiang Road store. I must rush over now. I'll go with you, Su Chen said seriously. Zhou Wanqiu glanced at Su Chen and said nothing else. He took Su Chen to the underground garage and drove quickly towards the Chunjiang Road store. Zhao's fast food chain, Chunjiang Road store. At this time, at the door of the fast food restaurant, a large number of passers-by gathered and looked inside curiously. In the fast food restaurant, many diners were holding their stomachs and groaning in pain on the ground. Some doctors in white coats were giving emergency treatment everywhere. The diners with the most severe food poisoning had been taken away by the 120 ambulance. Now these poisoned diners can only rely on the doctor's first aid for the time being, and then wait for the next batch of ambulances to come. Seeing this scene, passers-by and diners who were lucky enough to escape the disaster immediately talked about it. There is a big problem with this Zhao's fast food chain. Eating their food, I actually got food poisoning. It's definitely a black shop. That's right. This black shop must have used some expired ingredients. Fortunately, I was lucky and didn't order those poisonous dishes. I was lucky too. Before I started eating, several diners fell down. I was so scared that I quickly threw away all the plates. I have been to this restaurant many times, and there was no problem in the past. Why is it like this now? Greed moves people's hearts. I will never come again. Everyone was indignant and denounced Zhao's catering. Zhou Wanqiu's car arrived. Chapter 97. I ate it all. Hiss. A sudden brake sounded. The Porsche Cayenne stopped in front of the Chunjiang Road store. Su Chen and Zhou Wanqiu walked towards the store. Among the onlookers, someone recognized Zhou Wanqiu. They pointed and talked, spewing some dirty words such as black shop. Zhou Wanqiu had a gloomy face and did not refute. As the two stepped into the store, a woman in her 30s came up to them. "Boss Zhou, you are here." The woman's name is Li Hong, the manager of the Chunjiang Road store. Zhou Wanqiu acted decisively and said directly, "Tell me about the situation." Li Hong's expression was serious. "Boss Zhou, there are a total of 12 diners with food poisoning. 4 of them are in particularly serious conditions and have been sent to the hospital by ambulance for emergency treatment. Now, there are still 8 diners with food poisoning in the store. 3 of them are in a milder condition, and the other 5 are in a more serious condition. They are receiving emergency treatment from doctors while waiting for follow-up ambulances. As for the cause of the food poisoning, we haven't found it yet." At this point, Li Hong showed a trace of shame on her face. Zhou Wanqiu had no time to pursue responsibility, but walked directly to the diners with food poisoning. Su Chen followed. In the hall of the fast food restaurant, 3 diners were sitting on chairs with painful expressions on their faces, holding their stomachs with their hands. It seems that these 3 diners must be in a milder condition. The other 5 diners were lying on the ground, holding their stomachs and rolling from time to time. These people were more seriously poisoned. A young male doctor in a white coat, with several nurses, shuttled back and forth among the severely poisoned diners, feeding them salt water and inducing vomiting. Zhou Wanqiu walked towards the young male doctor. "Hello, doctor. I'm Zhou Wanqiu, the president of Zhao's catering group. I would like to ask, how are the patients doing?" Zhou Wanqiu asked. The young doctor Liu Wenshou looked up at the sound. The moment he saw Zhou Wanqiu, a hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. Zhou Wanqiu, the beautiful president of Zhao's catering group, is well known to everyone in Bincheng. She is one of the famous 4 beauties in Bincheng. Liu Wenshou did not seem to expect that he would have such contact with Zhou Wanqiu. His expression was slightly stunned, and then he quickly reacted and said, "Miss Zhou, the situation of these 5 patients with severe food poisoning is not optimistic. But don't worry, Liu Wenshou, am good at dealing with this type of patients. With me here, there will be no problem. Liu Wenshou's expression was proud and his tone was confident, like a male peacock spreading its tail. The tension on Zhou Wanqiu's face relaxed a little. That's great. Thank you, Dr. Liu. Zhou Wanqiu said. Hearing this, Liu Wenshou was proud. He began to think about asking Zhou Wanqiu for her contact information later, and then see if they could arrange to have dinner together. At this moment, a female nurse's panicked shout interrupted his fantasy. Dr. Liu, come and see, these patients can't vomit. Liu Wenshou's face changed, and he turned back quickly. He looked at several patients in succession, frowning tightly. Use your fingers to stimulate the patient's tongue root, a little harder. If it doesn't work, change chopsticks. Liu Wenshou said. He also personally walked to a patient and demonstrated. However, after he tossed for a few minutes, the patient's face was still painful, and he still couldn't vomit. Zhou Wanqiu's expression became more nervous. She knew that the most important step for patients with food poisoning is to induce vomiting to block the further absorption of toxins. If vomiting can't be induced, the patient's condition may be worse. Liu Wenshou seemed to feel that he had lost face in front of the beauty. He pushed harder when inducing the patient to vomit. As a result, the patient suddenly became more painful. Su Chen frowned slightly and said, "Let me try." As he spoke, he was about to squat in front of the patient, ready to take action. Seeing Su Chen was about to take action, Liu Wenshou pushed him aside. "Who are you? What do you want to do?" Liu Wenshou said angrily. Su Chen said calmly, "My name is Su Chen, I'm Mr. Zhao's secretary, and I want to induce vomiting in the patient." Hearing that Su Chen was Zhou Wanqiu's secretary, Liu Wenshou's eyes flashed with displeasure. He said coldly, "You induce vomiting in the patient? Are you a doctor? Do you have a medical license?" On the side, the store manager Li Han also advised, "Secretary Su, I think you should stop making trouble. Let a professional like Dr. Liu do this." Su Chen said lightly, "Now, isn't he unsuccessful in inducing vomiting? If it is delayed any longer, more toxins will be absorbed, which will cause greater harm to the patient." Hearing this, Liu Wenshou's face became even more embarrassed. He was about to scold. Zhou Wanqiu said, "Dr. Liu, let Su Chen try. He knows some Chinese medicine." Haha. Chinese medicine? Isn't it just some trickery to deceive ignorant villagers? Liu Wenshou sneered. "Okay, do it. If anything goes wrong, I won't be responsible." After that, Liu Wenshou stood aside, as if nothing had happened. Although he wanted to show off in front of Zhou Wanqiu. However, the conditions of these patients were a bit troublesome, and he couldn't induce vomiting, no matter how hard he tried. Since Su Chen wanted to show off, let him do it. If there was any accident, he could put the blame on Su Chen. Facing Liu Wenshou's threat, Su Chen was dismissive. He squatted in front of the patient and casually took out a handful of silver needles from his body. Seeing the silver needles, Liu Wenshou sneered, "Haha, silver needles. There are quite a lot of trickery equipment." Su Chen had no expression on his face and quickly inserted the silver needles into the patient. Then, he mobilized the key in his body and flicked each silver needle several times. Instantly, the tail of the silver needle trembled wildly. After that, Su Chen quickly tapped the patient several times in succession and then pulled out the silver needle. The whole process took no more than 10 seconds. "Is that all? The patient didn't vomit. And you still say it's not a trick?" Liu Wenshou said disdainfully. On the side, the store manager Li Han looked anxious. "Boss Zhao, you'd better not let Secretary Su mess around. These patients were all poisoned by food in her store. If anything serious happens, she will be responsible." Zhou Wanqiu glanced at Su Chen who was walking towards the next patient, and said, "Let's wait and see. Su Chen's medical skills are really good." Haha. Liu Wenshou laughed. "It seems that Boss Zhao doesn't know much about our doctors. I will introduce them to you when I have a chance. Don't let you be deceived by some tricksters in the future." He was obviously talking about Su Chen. But Su Chen was too lazy to pay attention to him. After finishing the first patient, he went to other patients again. In just 2 minutes, all 5 patients with severe food poisoning were treated by Su Chen. Even the 3 patients with mild food poisoning were not spared. When he finished, no patient vomited. Liu Wenshou sneered. Is this what you call Chinese medicine? What effect does it have, except letting these patients get a few more needles? At this time, the first patient who was treated by Su Chen cried out in pain while holding his stomach. Everyone's face suddenly changed. Liu Wenshou was happy in his heart, but his expression became fierce. Look at what you have done. The store manager Li Han looked at Su Chen with disgust. Zhou Wanqiu's expression tightened, and she hurriedly asked Su Chen, "What's going on?" Su Chen said calmly, "Get the basin ready, they are about to vomit." Liu Wenshou shouted angrily, "At this time, you are still stubborn. If they vomit, I will eat them on the spot." As soon as he finished speaking, a vomiting sound was heard. The 8 patients suffering from food poisoning began to vomit violently. Liu Wenshou's face rose. Chapter 98 Compensation. As soon as Liu Wenshou finished speaking, hiccup. Ugh. Wow. In the hall, the vomiting sounds of the patients suddenly came one after another. It seemed that they were reminding Liu Wenshou to eat. For a moment, the whole scene became awkward. Liu Wenshou's face turned red. He opened and closed his mouth slightly, not knowing what to say. On the side, Li Han also looked at Su Chen in shock. However, Su Chen had no time to deal with the two of them, but stepped forward to observe the vomit of the patients. With the help of the waiters and nurses, each patient vomited a lot of food residue. In addition, there were some black things, which seemed to be poison. After Su Chen finished reading, he turned to Zhou Wanqiu and said, "Let's go to the hospital quickly." "What's wrong?" Zhou Wanqiu asked. Su Chen's face sank slightly. "The poison used by this person is quite strong. I'm worried that there will be a death case." Zhou Wanqiu was shocked. On the side, Liu Wenshou seemed a little unconvinced, but he didn't dare to refute. He was afraid that, if he opened his mouth, Su Chen would be serious and ask him to fulfill his promise and eat the vomit. Zhou Wanqiu was very decisive and directly called Su Chen to set off. At this time, a patient with mild symptoms stood up to stop them. "Do you want to leave like this? Shouldn't you give us an explanation?" Immediately, other patients whose conditions had improved also hurriedly agreed. "Yes, you must give us an explanation. We got food poisoning in your store. You must give an explanation. I suspect that my body has been damaged. I require a comprehensive examination." The patients were about to make a fuss. Zhou Wanqiu was very decisive and said directly, "Don't worry, everyone. Our Zhao's catering group will investigate this matter thoroughly and will be responsible to the end. We will definitely give you a satisfactory answer. We will provide a comprehensive examination for everyone, and our group will be responsible for all medical expenses, nutrition expenses, and lost wages during the period. We will provide 200,000 cash compensation to everyone present, and hope to get your understanding." Zhou Wanqiu apologized sincerely. The diners who had food poisoning stopped making noise immediately. Su Chen nodded. This attitude was very sincere. Even these diners could not find fault with it. "Everyone wait here for an ambulance to come and send you to the hospital. I need to go to the hospital first to visit 4 other critically ill patients," Zhou Wanqiu explained. This time, no diners stopped them. Zhou Wanqiu and Su Chen walked out of the fast food restaurant. Then, an acquaintance came towards them. It was none other than Li Wanqiu from the health department. Behind him, there were many health department staff. Zhou Wanqiu frowned slightly and went to meet him. "Director Li, why are you here?" Li Wanqiu's face was gloomy. "Mr. Zhao, there are reports from the public that there is a food hygiene and safety incident here. Before the cause is investigated, I'm afraid it needs to be closed. I have no choice." As he spoke, he secretly looked at Su Chen apologetically. Su Chen nodded to show his understanding. Although the Li family and Li Wanqiu were trying to please him, this official procedure still had to be followed. Zhou Wanqiu expressed his understanding. Li Wanqiu took a step closer and whispered, "Mr. Zhao, I vaguely know that this might be done by someone instigated by the Zhao family. I suggest that you find the real culprit as soon as possible, so as to minimize the reputation loss of Zhao's catering group." Zhou Wanqiu suddenly realized. She nodded and gritted her teeth and said, "The Zhao family is so shameless that they want to take innocent lives to achieve their goals. Alas, Li Wandao sighed. Anyway, Mr. Zhao, please find the real culprit as soon as possible. I will try my best to help you suppress the storm. However, you must be careful not to let such vicious incidents happen again. Zhou Wanqiu nodded and said goodbye to Li Wandao. Then, he and Su Chen went to the hospital. After the two arrived at the hospital, they got the final results from the doctor. Of the 4 diners with severe food poisoning who were sent here, 3 were successfully revived. However, a diner named Wang Hagen failed to be rescued and had already died. Hearing this result, Zhou Wanqiu was shocked. Then, her legs softened and she almost couldn't stand. Fortunately, Su Chen helped her up and she didn't fall. Zhou Wanqiu's eyes were red and tears flowed down her cheeks. Wang Hagen is innocent. He died because of our Zhou family. Zhou Wanqiu murmured. Su Chen's eyes were also filled with endless anger. A fresh life was gone just like that. Although he also killed people, he killed people who deserved it. However, this Wang Hagen, his death was not because he offended anyone, nor because he did anything wrong. His death was simply because the Zhao family wanted to deal with the Zhao family. At this time, 2 women, one in front and one behind, ran towards Zhou Wanqiu. Give me back my husband, you give me back Wang Hagen. Why do you want to open a black shop? Doesn't your conscience hurt? Give my daughter's father back. Woo woo. A woman in her 30s, with tears streaming down her face, pointed at Zhou Wanqiu and cried and cursed. Beside her, another woman of about the same age hurriedly stopped her. Su Chen suddenly realized that these 2 women were probably the family members of the deceased. After some understanding, the woman crying bitterly was Lily, the wife of the deceased diner Wang Hagen. The woman accompanying her was Zhao Zha, her best friend. Zhou Wanqiu's eyes were red, and she bowed deeply to Lily. Missy, I'm sorry. I'm also very sorry for what happened, and I'm willing to do everything I can to compensate you. Lily cried bitterly, and barely stood up with the support of Zhao Zha. She sobbed weakly. How can you compensate me? My husband is gone. My daughter is only 4 years old, and she has no father. How can you compensate her? Lily cried miserably. Zhou Wanqiu opened her mouth. She didn't know how to comfort this woman. At this time, Su Chen said, Missy Lily, we are really sorry for what happened. Our Zhao's catering group is willing to compensate you and your daughter 10 million. In addition, if you encounter any problems in your future life or work, you can contact our group directly and we will do our best to help you solve them. After Su Chen finished speaking, Lily and Zhao Zha were stunned. They never thought that Su Chen would actually offer a compensation price of 10 million. You know, in general traffic accidents, the death compensation is at most 1 million. Su Chen's offer can be said to be very sincere. Although Lily's face was still extremely sad, her mood did ease a little. Zhao Zha was in charge of Lily and sat down next to her first. Su Chen turned to Zhou Wanqiu and said, Mr. Zhao, please forgive me for taking the initiative. I will. Su Chen was about to say that he would ask the Zhao family to compensate for the money. As a result, Zhou Wanqiu said directly, the group will pay for this money. You handled it very well. Su Chen was stunned. He didn't expect that Zhou Wanqiu would support him to use such a large sum of money to compensate Lily. Although this woman has a weird temper, she is still very kind. Zhou Wanqiu did not continue the topic, but frowned and said, what is more important now is to find out who put the poison. In addition, will the Zhao family continue to take action? Where will they take action? Su Chen said, I can call and ask, maybe I can find out. Zhou Wanqiu glanced at Su Chen, but did not speak. Obviously, she did not believe that Su Chen had such information channels at all. Su Chen did not pay attention to Zhou Wanqiu's expression, but called Liu Jinghao directly. The call was connected. Mr. Su, I was just about to call you. I received the latest news here. Zhao Shiji seems to want to take action against Ruai restaurant under Zhao's catering group. Liu Jinghao said straight to the point. Thank you, Mr. Liu. Su Chen hung up the phone, turned to Zhou Wanqiu and said, I know. Chapter 99. Bastard, you cheated me. Su Chen finished speaking. Zhou Wanqiu looked at him in confusion. Zhao Shiji's next move is Ruai restaurant. Su Chen said seriously. Hearing this, Zhou Wanqiu's expression was serious. Who gave you the news? Su Chen said. Liu Jinghao, the owner of Dahao Chunjing Hotel. He said that this was secretly heard by the waiter when he was serving Zhao Shiji. Zhou Wanqiu looked serious. Why do you have Liu Jinghao's contact information? Is his information reliable? Su Chen said. He shouldn't lie to me. Why? Zhou Wanqiu asked back. She really couldn't understand why Su Chen, a country boy, could get the tip off from the owner of Dahao Chunjing. Su Chen thought for a while and said, I treated him once, so he is more grateful to me. In the end, Su Chen did not mention the matter of Yao Zhenfeng from the Yao family in the provincial capital. I didn't expect that your folk remedy is still useful. Zhou Wanqiu believed Su Chen, but still had a hard mouth. Su Chen was quite speechless. You'd better not pay attention to whether my recipe is useful or not. Let's see what to do next. Zhou Wanqiu nodded. She frowned slightly. Liu Jinghao's news is probably true. There is a problem with Zhao's fast food chain, but Zhao Shiji deliberately chose civilian fast food to expand the scope of the adverse impact of food poisoning. However, if Zhao's catering group handles it properly and compensates in time, Zhao Shiji's conspiracy is likely to fail. Su Chen nodded. Zhou Wanqiu continued to analyze. In this case, he is indeed likely to start with higher end guests, so that we can't easily deal with it. And Ruai Restaurant is the most high-end hotel of Zhao's catering group. As Zhou Wanqiu further analyzed, the two felt more and more that Ruai Restaurant was really likely to be Zhao Shiji's next target. Let's go. Let's go to Ruai Restaurant. Zhou Wanqiu made a prompt decision. After contacting the people of Zhao's catering group to connect with He Lily, she took Su Chen to Ruai Restaurant. On the way, Su Chen said, Mr. Zhao, I have a suggestion. You'd better contact the people at Ruai Restaurant now, and don't let them serve the dishes. Wait until I check all the dishes before serving the guests. Zhou Wanqiu's eyes lit up. She looked at Su Chen and asked, can you tell which dish is poisonous? Su Chen nodded. Zhou Wanqiu was overjoyed. Okay, Su Chen, thank you. After this matter is resolved, I will give you a great credit. Su Chen smiled. It didn't matter to him whether he was credited or not, as long as Zhou Wanqiu didn't cause him trouble in the future. Then, Zhou Wanqiu called Zhang Heitao, the general manager of Ruai Restaurant. Manager Zhang, this is Zhou Wanqiu. From now on, all the dishes cooked in the store are not allowed to be served. Wait until I arrive. Zhang Heitao on the opposite side was a little puzzled, but facing the tough Zhou Wanqiu, he could only obey orders. Zhou Wanqiu drove very fast and arrived at Ruai Restaurant in less than 20 minutes. Ruai Restaurant is an independent restaurant with 3 floors. It is antique and elegant. Zhou Wanqiu parked the car and took Su Chen into Ruai Restaurant. A slightly fat middle-aged man came up to them. He looked anxious and complained, Boss Zhao, why did you suddenly ask me to stop all the dishes? We have many gold card customers, and they are already angry. If this matter is not handled well, I'm afraid there will be a wave of customer complaints. Zhou Wanqiu said coldly, it is better to have customer complaints than customers dying of food poisoning. Zhang Heitao was stunned. Zhou Wanqiu simply recounted what happened in the Chunjiang Road store. Zhang Heitao's face suddenly changed. Zhou Wanqiu continued, if customers are not satisfied with our serving speed, we can give them a 50% discount or even a 30% discount on today's dishes. Good guy. This is going to be a big deal. Zhang Heitao was immediately impressed by Zhou Wanqiu's courage. However, he still looked at Su Chen with some doubt and asked, Boss Zhao, is your secretary Su reliable? It's no wonder that Zhang Heitao didn't believe Su Chen. After all, judging from his appearance, Su Chen is at most similar to his son. No matter how you look at it, he doesn't look like a skilled Chinese medicine practitioner. Zhou Wanqiu said coldly, he cured my father's illness, and he cured Liu Jinghao, the owner of Dahao Chunjing Hotel. Just now, the food poisoning patient at the Chunjiang Road store was helpless, and he was the one who induced vomiting. Su Chen looked at Zhou Wanqiu with some surprise. He didn't expect that Zhou Wanqiu would start to praise him. But Zhang Heitao wanted to say something. Zhou Wanqiu interrupted directly. Don't talk nonsense now. Take us to see all the dishes that have been made. Zhang Heitao didn't dare to speak anymore, so he led Su Chen and Zhou Wanqiu to a large private room. In the private room, a large round table was filled with finished dishes. These dishes were originally to be served, but they were temporarily withheld by Zhang Heitao, waiting for Su Chen to check. Boss Zhao, Secretary Su, according to your request, all the dishes were secretly placed in this box. Moreover, I didn't alarm too many people, Zhang Heitao said. Zhou Wanqiu nodded and looked at Su Chen. Su Chen went straight forward and checked each dish in turn. He didn't stay in front of any dish for too long, mostly just a simple look. At most, he just smelled it and then moved on to the next dish. Zhang Heitao, who was standing aside, saw Su Chen's actions and had some disdain and confusion on his face. Boss Zhao, Secretary Su, is this really okay? I think we should find some professionals to check it. Zhou Wanqiu shook his head. Don't talk, wait for Su Chen's conclusion. Zhang Heitao was secretly disappointed. He thought that Zhou Wanqiu might be in love with Su Chen, so she was so brainless. She actually believed that a young man could tell whether the dishes were poisonous by just looking at and smelling them. Su Chen quickly checked all the dishes. He walked back. Zhang Heitao hurriedly asked, didn't you check it? However, Su Chen directly said, go check the surveillance in the back kitchen to see if anyone has touched all the birds' nests. Zhang Heitao was stunned. Zhou Wanqiu hurriedly said, didn't you hear what Su Chen said? Go check the surveillance. Zhang Heitao suddenly came to his senses and ran out. After a while, he came back. Mr. Zhao, Secretary Su, the only person who has touched all the birds' nests is Liu Dabao. But he is an old man in our back kitchen, and it is impossible for him to poison. Zhang Heitao said in disbelief. Su Chen stepped forward and whispered a few words to Zhang Heitao. Zhang Heitao looked at Su Chen with disbelief, then turned and walked towards the back kitchen. Zhou Wanqiu asked Su Chen, what did you say to Zhang Heitao? Su Chen smiled but said nothing. Zhou Wanqiu was curious, but was too embarrassed to ask again. Ruai restaurant, in the back kitchen. A fat chef shouted at a tall and thin man with his back to him, Ergauzi, Ergauzi. The tall and thin man didn't respond at all. The fat chef patted his shoulder and said, Liu Dabao, why are you ignoring me? I called you by your nickname, and you got angry? Liu Dabao's face froze, and then he smiled. Sorry, I didn't hear it just now. The fat chef's face changed slightly, and he said, go outside, Manager Zhang wants to see you. Liu Dabao was stunned, then smiled shyly. Okay. Soon, the tall and thin man walked out of the kitchen and walked towards Zhang Heitao who was waiting outside. Ergauzi, do you know why I want to see you? Zhang Heitao's expression was serious. Liu Dabao shook his head. I don't know. At this time, a voice came from behind him. Manager Zhang wants you out because Liu Dabao's nickname is not Ergauzi at all. Liu Dabao turned his head quickly. Su Chen and Zhou Wanqiu walked over side by side. Liu Dabao's face changed drastically, and he roared, you bastard, you cheated me. Chapter 100, Home. Liu Dabao in front of him was no one else. It was Huang Rongxiang, the shadowless king of the four masters of the Zhao family's sword, fist, and foot. At this moment, Huang Rongxiang's face was ugly. He didn't expect that he would be discovered on the spot. The general manager of the hotel, Zhang Heitao, was also extremely shocked. When Su Chen told him about this plan, he was still slightly disdainful in his heart. But he didn't expect that he could really use this trick to trick out the traitor. At this moment, Zhou Wanqiu also figured out everything. She looked at Su Chen in surprise. She always thought that Su Chen was a reckless man who only knew how to fight, but she didn't expect that he was quite smart. General Manager Zhang Heitao stared at Liu Dabao with a gloomy face. You are not Liu Dabao. Who are you? Who instructed you to poison the bird's nest? Huang Rongxiang smiled coldly. Then, his facial muscles moved, and a burst of caca bones broke out of his body. In a blink of an eye, Huang Rongxiang returned to his original appearance. Zhang Heitao and Zhou Wanqiu were shocked. Where had they seen such a sudden transformation? Huang Rongxiang, who had returned to his original appearance, smiled coldly at Zhang Heitao. Want to know who I am? Go ask the King of Hell. He roared and kicked instantly. Before Zhang Heitao could react, Huang Rongxiang's foot was like a sword that broke through the wind and instantly reached his head. It seemed that in the next second, his head would be kicked to pieces. I'm done. Zhang Heitao's mind went blank, and he closed his eyes in fear. However, when he opened his eyes, he found that his head was still intact, but he had retreated a few steps. There was another person beside him. It was Su Chen. Oh. Fuck. Thank you, Secretary Su. Thank you for saving me. Zhang Heitao was so grateful that he burst into swear words. Su Chen's expression was indifferent. He ignored Zhang Heitao and looked at Huang Rongxiang coldly. What? Are you going to kill someone in a rage? Judging from the way you attacked, you are not Zhang Wanqiu, you are Huang Rongxiang. Right. Huang Rongxiang was slightly surprised. Just now, he kicked very fast. But Su Chen flashed over from a long distance and took Zhang Heitao out of his attack range. This terrifying speed made him quite afraid. That's right. I'm Huang Rongxiang. Huang Rongxiang stared at Su Chen coldly. You are Su Chen, right? You are really good. No wonder Feng Dao, the Iron Fist, and Li Xiang, the little Li Flying Dagger, both fell into your hands. Su Chen smiled coldly. It's not just them who fell into my hands. The Zhao family's swords, knives, fists and feet will all fall into my hands. How shameless. Huang Rongxiang was furious. Let me test your weight. Huang Rongxiang roared and rushed over. On the side, Zhou Wanqiu and Zhang Heitao showed a trace of worry on their faces. Huang Rongxiang, who can shrink bones and disguise himself, is very magical in their eyes. Therefore, both of them were more worried about whether Su Chen could handle him. However, Su Chen had a calm expression and looked at Huang Rongxiang, who was rushing over. Huang Rongxiang was like a tiger coming down from the mountain. 1 step, 2 steps. With a big stride, he quickly cut into Su Chen's vicinity. The next second, 2 long legs rushed towards Su Chen like 2 spears. Shadowless kick. In an instant, Su Chen was covered by the shadows of feet. Su Chen, be careful. Zhou Wanqiu couldn't help but screamed. However, Su Chen still looked calm. When the shadows of feet in the sky completely covered Su Chen, Huang Rongxiang showed a smug smile on his face. Any enemy covered by his shadowless kick is doomed to never escape. However, Su Chen had no intention of escaping. Flower fists and embroidered legs. Su Chen shouted coldly. The next moment, he did not retreat, but advanced and kicked out instantly. Bang! A thunderous explosion sounded. In an instant, the shadows of feet in the sky disappeared instantly. Huang Rongxiang, on the other hand, flew backwards like a cannonball. He slammed into the wall. Boom. Spider web-like cracks suddenly appeared on the wall. Zhou Wanqiu and Zhang Heitao were stunned. Is this still human strength? Huang Rongxiang struggled to get up from the wall and stood firm with the help of the wall. He looked horrified. Huang Rongxiang finally understood why both Feng Dao, the Iron Fist, and Li Xiang, the Flying Knife, were defeated by Su Chen. He looked at Su Chen deeply. Then, without saying a word, he turned around and ran. He knew that he was definitely not Su Chen's opponent, and he would definitely die if he stayed. However, before he could run 2 steps, Su Chen had caught up with him. Another kick hit him in the back. Puff! Huang Rongxiang spurted out a mouthful of blood and fell directly to the ground. Su Chen stepped forward, grabbed his clothes directly, and lifted him back like a chicken. He carried Huang Rongxiang, walked in front of Zhou Wanqiu, and threw Huang Rongxiang to the ground. Boss Zhou, I have fulfilled my mission and helped you catch Huang Rongxiang. Zhou Wanqiu breathed a sigh of relief. With Huang Rongxiang in hand, Li Wandao from the health department can also give an explanation to the public. At least, the poisoner has been found. Zhang Heitao looked at Su Chen with a trace of respect. At this moment, he finally understood why Zhou Wanqiu trusted Su Chen so much. Zhou Wanqiu glanced at Huang Rongxiang and asked worriedly, this man is so good at kung fu. If you are not here, will there be any problems? Su Chen stepped forward and kicked Huang Rongxiang in the dantian. Ah! Huang Rongxiang screamed. He raised his head and stared at Su Chen with hatred. You bastard, you actually broke my dark power. Su Chen ignored him at all, but looked at Zhou Wanqiu. Well, He is now an ordinary person. Or rather, he is not even as good as an ordinary person. Zhou Wanqiu was speechless. She didn't expect Su Chen to be so decisive. Then, Su Chen seemed to have thought of something, and he asked Zhou Wanqiu, "Tell me, where is Zhou Shiji now? You son of a bitch, you crippled me, and you still want me to tell you the whereabouts of Mr. Zhou? You're dreaming." Huang Rongxiang's mouth was full of blood, like a ghost. Su Chen looked at him coldly, took out a pill, and stuffed it into his mouth, then took out a silver needle and quickly stabbed him a few times. "You son of a bitch, what did you give me to eat? What did you do to me?" Huang Rongxiang's face was tense, and Su Chen said lightly, "It's just a poison, and I'll use the silver needle to stimulate your acupuncture points and expand your sensory acuity. I hope you can still be so stubborn in a while." Huang Rongxiang looked terrified. He was about to say something, and then he felt a piercing pain in the gap between his bones. Then, his skin started to itch again, as if thousands of ants were gnawing at his flesh. Su Chen used the silver needle to amplify his senses, causing him to explode instantly. "It's so itchy. It hurts so much." For a moment, Huang Rongxiang didn't know whether he was itchy or painful. He scratched, and soon his whole body was bleeding. However, even if he scratched his body and bled, he still couldn't get rid of the pain and itchiness coming from his bones. I said, "Please forgive me, I tell you." In less than half a minute, Huang Rongxiang had already given in. He quickly told Su Chen the address of Zhou Shiji. Zhang Heitao was shocked to see this method, and there was a trace of awe in his eyes when he looked at Su Chen. Zhou Wanqiu frowned and said, "Su Chen, what do you want to do? Don't be impulsive." Su Chen said calmly, "Mr. Zhou, do you still need to discuss with Zhou Shiji how to compete fairly next?" Zhou Wanqiu was stunned. Su Chen continued, "Wang Hegan has already died in the Chunjiang Road store. If we rely on normal business means, the crazy Zhou Shiji will kill countless people. A gentleman can be deceived by his own tricks. Now, in the competition between the Zhou family and the Zhou family, the Zhou family is the gentleman, so Zhou Shiji dares to act recklessly. Now, I will be the villain. The villain that scares the Zhou family." Su Chen finished speaking and turned to leave. Zhou Wanqiu moved her mouth, but did not stop Su Chen. Looking at Su Chen's departing back, she felt inexplicably relieved. "Su Chen, you must be careful," she shouted loudly. On the other side, in a suburban villa, in the garden, Zhou Shiji, He Zenshin, and a white-haired old man were drinking and chatting in the garden. At this time, they didn't know death is coming. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.